next after the public hearing. Okay? We can fund everything there. Okay.
Okay, I got a little map. All right, good afternoon, and we are going to adjourn the afternoon session. We're going to take things a little out of order.
Adjourn.
The what? I mean commence, sorry, not feeling well.
We're done.
It would be better for me if we went ahead and adjourned, but, so we're going to take up the first item this afternoon, but we do have some items that didn't finish this morning, and we have some bond counsel here, so after we finish this first public hearing, or whatever, then we may switch to the Rs from this morning. With that, let's go to the first one. P64. Ordinance.
Item P64 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on January 5th, 2022.
Okay, good morning.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
afternoon.
Denise Hernandez, P64 is PDD 220020, and this was actually advertised as a continuance. It's a continuance request to August 9th, 2022, BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue.
Second.
Book just fell apart. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we will go to P65, also a continuance.
Item P65 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on February 2nd, 2022.
P65 is PDD 220068. This item was also as a continuance. It did say to a date certain, and I have the date certain for you. It's to August 9th, 2022 at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue time certain?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, P66.
Item P66 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
All right, on P66, that's PDD 220311. This is the first reading on this item. The adoption is scheduled for June 7th of 22, sorry, at 1:30 in Dade City. If this looks familiar to you, it's because the board directed staff to bring forward an amendment to the Land Development Code for residential height increase from 35 feet to 45 feet, and that was directed by the board on July 6, 21. So I'll read the item, the ordinance title, and then if you would please take public comment, and again, there's no action required today as this is just your first reading. It's an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 500 zoning, Section 509 ER Estate Residential District, Section 510 ER2 Estate Residential District, Section 512 R1MH Single Family Mobile Home District, Section 514 R1 Rural Density Residential District, Section 515 R2 Low Density Residential District, Section 516 R3 Medium Density Residential District, Section 517 R4 High Density Residential District, and other sections as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into Land Development Code, and an effective date. This was presented to the local planning agency on April 21st, 2022, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're doing this. Does anyone else have any questions?
I'm delighted to see you come forward.
Yeah. Okay, so then this one requires no action?
It is a public hearing.
Oh, would anyone else like to comment on this?
There is no one signed up on P66 and no one's on WebEx.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to P67.
Item P67 was published in Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
P67 is PDD 220317. Today, we're asking that you take public comment and you adopt the item by roll call vote. This was presented to the local planning agency on April 21st, 2022, who found it consistent with a comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners. It's an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 3, changing from Res 6, residential 6 dwelling units per gross acre, to Res 24, residential 24 dwelling units per gross acre, on approximately 2.53 acres of real property located on the northeast corner of Dallas Drive and Lakeshore Boulevard, west of 5A Road, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, does the applicant want to speak on this? No, to the board, anybody have any questions?
Public hearing?
All right, so this is a public hearing, does anyone here wish to speak on this item or online?
There is no one signed up for this item and no one on WebEx for this item.
Okay, I don't have my notes here, this is not on consent, right?
These are all ordinances. so-
Okay, so I'll take a
Madam-
motion.
Yeah, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, so Denise, we talked about this briefly about it. This is one that's been trying to come in for a long time to do affordable housing in the area. We're going to look at the road situation between Jacques and Lakeshore Drive to make sure that road comes up to standards, even if we've got to take it over as a public road afterward.
Okay, we will be doing that. You may have the applicant, Todd Pressman, on WebEx. I do want to say that there is a rezoning that has come in for this item that will be going to the Planning Commission and the board very soon, and that there will be a voluntarily agreed upon deed restriction that this is going to be indeed for affordable housing. So, and we will certainly look at those items as well during that review.
So
Okay,
Move approval?
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Roll call vote?
Oh, sorry, ordinance?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. Aye. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. All right, I just want to check and see if the council is in here
Yeah.
yet. Is here yet?
Bob, we were waiting for Bob.
Yeah, Bob's
Bob's
here.
here.
Okay, let's get those done, and then we'll come back. And my staff brought my book back, but they took all the Rs out, so
So
You'll have to help me.
You have four, as Bob's coming up, you have four resolutions that are related to bond or financing deals. And Bob, they are generally on your regular agenda. If you have questions or for transparency purposes, but Bob can go through what 60 actually is.
Okay, R60. I don't know if Mr. Steinsnyder mentioned or not, but Vera Garova is here. She is from Bryant Miller Olive, who is the county's bond counsel, as well as a representative from Raymond James. So if there are any questions, there are four of us here that will be able to help you out. So R60 is a amendment to the original master resolution of 2013. And this provides the authority to pursue the next three items. So this item must be approved first. And it allows us to pledge half-cent sales tax revenue for the three upcoming debt service actions that you have before you.
No, move for
I would
approval.
recommend for approval.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
opposed? Okay,
R61 is a refunding of a $6 million half-cent sales tax loan. The current loan is at a 5% interest rate. We can take advantage of the interest rates to get the current interest rate of 2.52%. That would save us approximately $650,000 over the term of the loan. The term of the loan was, the original loan was to go through 2028. We have not extended the loan, so we are hoping to save up to $650,000 with this refunding.
Excellent. Move for
take a
approval.
motion?
Thank you.
Okay, take a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
R62 likewise is similar to R61. It's a refunding of a half-cent sales tax revenue bond. The current interest rate is 5%. The refunded rate is 2.69% for a savings of $1.1 million between now and
Move for approval.
2034.
Second?
Just like to add to the recommended board action, it was our intention to include approval of Budget Amendment 1976 onto this, but that was excluded, so I would like you to consider that action when you consider the full board action.
Is that your motion?
Yes. Move for approval again.
And that's your
Second,
second?
yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Aye,
Thank you.
opposed? Okay,
And finally, R63 is a half-cent sales tax loan. This is new money of $41 million borrowed to overcome the high inflation. This money will be used to finish the expansion of the detention center. With that, I'd like to move for approval.
So move.
Second.
With discussion?
discussion?
Dan, as we talked about like CARES money to help with the jail too, are we looking at the possibility of using that money as well? Not opioid settlement money, I'm sorry.
Haven't looked at that yet because that's still, working its way through the system. But between, the original general obligation bond, the money we set aside from the revenue replacement under our ARP and this, it covers what we think we need at this point for the jail expansion. Again, this market's pretty crazy. The sooner we get this thing started, the better.
Yeah,
So.
okay.
Okay, are we done?
You gotta call the,
Gotta call it.
you gotta-
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Madam Chair, just as he's walking away, great job to you and your
Yeah.
team and the Bog Council, because you just saved the taxpayers
Yes.
close to $1.9 million. So,
Thanks for
good job.
saving us money. We're going to spend it right away.
On the jail expansion.
Okay, we are on to, is that 68?
Yes.
68.
Item P68 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
Good afternoon. Doreen Roy with Planning and Development. Item P68 has had a minor adjustment to the memorandum, and you have a copy of that. It has been submitted with the clerk for record. Item PDD 220321, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. CPAS 2208, Dempsey and Daughters. An ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map, map 2-15 and sheet 22, from Res 6 residential to COM commercial on approximately 1.92 acres of real property located at the northeast corner of the intersection of SR 54 and Tupper Road, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date. The property is located in the South Market area, urban service area. The proposal is to amend the future land use flu maps 2-15 and sheet 22 from Res 6 to COM commercial at the northeast corner of the intersection of SR 54 and Tupper Road, 1.92 acres. Zoning is R2, low density residential district, and C2, general commercial district. The following policies are consistent with the proposed comprehensive plan amendment. Policy Flu 1.6.3, transitional land uses, 1.6.4, neighborhood commercial uses, and 8.1.2, South Market area establishment. This is the aerial location, northeast corner, 54 and Tupper Road. Existing flu, Res 6. Proposed flu is commercial. Existing zoning districts, Euclidean R2 and C2. Staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and adopt by roll call vote.
Take public comment.
Okay, does the applicant wish to speak?
Good afternoon, Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey, Florida, for the applicant, which is the Dempsey family. We appreciate staff and working with us to find a solution to this problem that was created when I was in college. In 1989, when you adopted your comp plan, you created a problem for their property because you created a conflict zoning. You made it a residential land use with a commercial zoning on it. State law required you within 1 year to resolve those conflict zonings, and the county has never done that, counting 30 years. So what happens to property owners like the Dempseys is they have C2 property, they pay C2 taxes on it for 30 years, and then they go to sell it. So the buyer comes in to talk to the county about their proposed commercial use, and the county says, oh, no, you got a conflict zoning.
Oh, no.
And so 2 years I've been working on this, trying to get this resolved. Quite a few of the commissioners have intervened to try to get this resolved, and I appreciate that on behalf of the Dempsey family. I only point this out because this is an ongoing problem, and there's a lot of property owners that are not being treated fairly by the process and how this has been done. You are updating your comp plan. Hopefully this is something that could be resolved when you do that. But thank you very much for each of you that intervened on behalf of the Dempsey family to try to find, push forward a solution. This was done completely under the comp plan. There's nothing that was special that was done or anything, but I appreciate your interest in trying to get this resolved for the family and all the other folks that have found themselves in the same situation. Thank you.
Well, yeah, that bothers me. If we have something that comes forward with the conflict zoning, I think it should be elevated to right away. Shouldn't take 2 years when obviously commercial is what we want there. Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
Especially in this scenario.
Okay, does anyone in the public wish to speak on this?
Wait, hold on.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Wait.
that right?
Madam Chair, there's no one signed up and no one on WebEx. for this
Seeing none,
item.
move approval.
Second.
Roll call?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. All right, P69.
Item P69 was published in Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development, P69 is PDD 220329. Today, we're asking that you adopt this item by roll call vote. This was presented to the local planning agency on April 21st, 2022, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners. This is a county-initiated comp plan amendment. It's an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 01, from Res 9 residential 9 dwelling units per gross acre to IL industrial light on approximately 1 acre of real property located on the north and south sides of Chapman Street between Pine Products Road and Bauer Road, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repeal or severability and an effective date. So if you would take public comment and adopt by roll call vote, please.
Okay, would anyone like to speak on this item?
There's no one signed up for this item, and there's no one on WebEx.
Seeing no one, move approval.
Second.
Roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, which one was that?
70.
All right,
70.
okay, so now,
It's still an ordinance.
there's what? Oh,
It's
P7.
still an ordinance.
Okay, one more.
All right, so item P70 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on January 19th, 2022.
Oh, I thought you were saying P7.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Elizabeth Blair at Pasco County Attorney's Office. This is the the final public hearing on the following ordinance. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners establishing a temporary moratorium, 180 days, on the submission and acceptance of applications for building permits, site plans.
Elizabeth, can you hang on one second?
Sure.
Mr. Dempsey, thank you for attending the BOCC today. I'm sorry you had to wait 2 years. I didn't see you sitting back there, but welcome. Thank you.
Great.
Had to call him out.
An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners establishing a temporary moratorium of 180 days on the submission and acceptance of applications for building permits, site plans, special exception uses, conditional uses, rezonings, and comprehensive plan amendments within the moratorium areas around airports in Pasco County, providing for authority, legislative findings of fact, definitions, moratorium areas, temporary moratorium imposed, duration of temporary moratorium, and severability. As you'll recall, at this last meeting on May 3rd on this matter, it was requested by the board that all stakeholders be included in discussions on the final version of this ordinance. A draft ordinance was crafted by your Airport Zoning Commission chairman, as well as some land use attorneys. It was then brought to a larger meeting where a larger group of people who were called out in your agenda memo who attended and discussed that ordinance. That proposed moratorium provides for the following: the removal of the city of Zephyr Hills from the moratorium, a prohibition on any development within the runway protection zones, the renaming of the noise abatement areas to airport protection zones, a prohibition on any development within the airport protection zones unless certain requirements are met, and then it creates specific exemptions to the moratorium within those airport protection zones. The requirements to go forward with development in the airport protection zone is as follows. There must be notification and opportunity to comment provided to the applicable airport on all the proposed development in the airport protection zone. For all proposed development, a copy of a final FAA determination letter indicating that there is no hazard to air navigation or appropriate mitigation by the FAA be submitted with the application. And for residential and educational facilities, a noise study must be conducted that demonstrates that proposed development is not within the 65 DNL noise contour. And then going a step further, there has to be a restrictive covenant or a deed or an executed lease for the applicant to have the folks that end up purchasing the property or renting the property to be aware of the existence of the airport, kind of going to your desire there, Commissioner Starkey. So the moratorium does not affect the Connor Crossings development, that is the development on 41, also the Tanglewood Ridge multifamily project that you all approved in the past, the airports and the airport communities themselves, and any application accepted prior to February 8, 2022, which was your pending ordinance doctrine date. There was a few amendments requested yesterday, and so I did have to put together a red line version to get these on the agenda for today. So in front of you, you've got a document indicating P70 in the top right-hand corner. So on page 2, I've incorporated requested language in the whereas clauses. I've also included a definition on page 3 for site plans. That's kind of a collective term we use in the county that's not clearly defined. We wanted to make sure that where we use site plans throughout the moratorium ordinance, we're actually addressing these various types of approvals that are laid out in the definition there. I also have a clarification that the county is the person or entity responsible for forwarding building permit applications to the airport for review and comment. And I fixed a typo. And we also, in working with David Goldstein, we expanded this concept of protection for the operators and the airport for those residential treatment and care facilities. They really didn't fit in the other paragraphs dealing with single-family homes or apartments. So we've beefed up that in response to some conversation we had internally. So this is the final public hearing. So I'd ask that you accept public comment and adopt the ordinance by a roll call vote. Any questions for me?
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Just a quick question. What was the date you stated when it came to applications? Again, was February?
February 8th is when you all adopted the pending ordinance doctrine.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And you did meet, we had asked last time for
Yep.
you to have a meeting with
Yep,
stakeholders.
we
and
actually had a group of, I believe, 18 people that accepted a WebEx meeting. We had folks from inside the county, outside the county. We had TBBA was present in that meeting, as well as several pilots, the owner of Pilot Country, a manager at Pilot Country, City of Zephyr Hills, Billy Poe was on the meeting as well. So it was.
All right, and I did have one question. When you said you're going to notify the airport, what does that mean when you have these private airports? You're going to notify?
The concept is to allow them to comment on an application, especially if it is.
But do they have like the president of the airport, or
Well,
what does that mean?
Well, the folks that I included in here are the folks that serve on your airport zoning commission. These are their emails. It would be going to them.
To the people on the airport zoning commission?
Correct. That's the
Okay.
folks that are here on page 4. That's their email direct addresses.
Okay,
So
just
they
wanna
would only
clarify
get-
that.
Right. They would only get the applications that are near them, of course,
Yeah.
to comment on.
And then they would have their internal meetings or whatever with the
Right,
people?
and I'm sure that once they, look at the site plan or whatever, they could issue spot and then be able to communicate any concerns to the county.
Okay, that was my, Commissioner
Well-
Mariano.
Oh, good.
Question about the Zephyr Hills
Commissioner Moore,
Airport.
did you have a question?
One of the concerns about this whole thing was having residential growth where good industrial land could be developed along that side. Does this moratorium address that?
It doesn't, but here's the research I did do. I did talk with Zephyr Hills. We talked about, well, what really pressures are you having? What are you experiencing? Their projects for industrial improvements are well on their way. I spoke with Terry Pitos. He and I went and looked at a map together, trying to identify any residential pressures in the unincorporated area to be concerned about. And we decided that at this time, there's nothing pressing to be concerned about. So that's why we thought it was okay for Zephyr Hills to come out of the moratorium. It is a different class of an airport, and the city's okay with coming out of the moratorium. They can actually go forward with their projects without having, to be concerned about it.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Moore?
Just one more thing. What was the date of the last meeting we had when this was brought forward and we asked for it to be continued
The
again?
public hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
It was May 3rd.
May 3rd.
And then we had our meeting on May 10th.
Well, I just wanted to know when the last public hearing was. Okay, May 3rd. And the first public hearing was, you stated February 8th?
That was when you imposed the pending ordinance doctrine.
Right.
Denise, maybe you can help me. When was the first public hearing? February 3rd? That sounds about, okay.
Well, that was the planning. That wasn't Board of County Commissioners, though. When was the first hearing for the Board, for the Board of County Commissioners?
It's been continued so many times.
I know, it's been continued.
March,
February 22nd?
yeah, March, that makes sense.
I have February 22nd as the first.
Okay. Okay. Just, again, I don't know if anybody's submitted any applications or anything like that. I just think going back, my opinion is going back to February 8th when the first public hearing for the Board of County Commissioners was on February 23rd? 22nd?
February 8th was the day that we brought this forward for you to introduce it, and we asked you if you wanted it, the pending ordinance doctrine, to apply at that point, and you all said yes. Now, you can change your mind, but
Yeah.
but that's what the February 8th date comes from, is board direction.
Yeah, I understand. It's just, and I appreciate that. It's just there's been a ton of back and forth. We've continued this thing a million times. I just feel a later date, I'd love to make an amendment and push that date a little bit later. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Which date?
The February, when we first heard it.
Well,
Is there public
why?
comment?
Why? Because then we have to adopt.
Because we didn't actually have a quote public hearing until that date.
I'm just saying
The
that
adoption date.
well,
Not the
there's only so
adoption
much
date,
time for a moratorium, and if we
Right.
keep the earlier date, then it ends sooner.
I see what you're saying too. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I just want to make sure that everybody knew that this was in the process, and if somebody got shut out because they didn't know this was going forward, then they're not quote grandfathered in because they submitted an application.
I don't know about
I don't know if
any
there was any or not,
application.
so.
I don't know.
Weren't they told at time of submission of documents that there is a moratorium, an APZ going through?
I do not know what the other department does in terms of notifying
It's my
folks.
issue.
I can't answer that. But the pending ordinance doctrine basically just says, hey, you can go ahead, we'll take your application, and you maybe will have rules that apply to you later if they're made. The moratorium timeframe actually is when the true no acceptance of applications goes in place, and that would be today. So the moratorium actually would start from today. They're two different legal concepts. Okay.
And when this is scheduled for today, then we can go back and focus on the APZ so we can get the APZ ordinance
Regulation
completed.
drafting will start, correct. It's already has started.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and battle this. I'm just trying to make sure we're fair across the board, similar to what we did with the apartment situation. So just trying to make sure we're consistent in how we move forward.
I believe you used the pending ordinance doctrine.
I don't remember,
Yes,
so
we
it's been
did.
so long.
Yeah.
Just trying to
Okay.
make sure we're
I would
consistent.
rather, unless there's something I don't know about, which
I
very well
don't
could
either.
be,
I'm
I'd
just
rather.
Trying to be
keep-
consistent.
I would rather have that clock already have had.
Again, I'm not
Well, let's take public
not
comment,
gonna
then we'll
fight. I'm
see
not gonna
what
battle
shakes
it. I just want
out.
to make sure we're consistent.
Thank you.
All right, public comment, if
Madam-
there's,
sorry.
do we have any?
Yes, we have 3 individuals who signed up prior and one
Okay.
on WebEx.
Okay. Yep, Barbara, and then we have 2 people over there.
We have 3 signed up.
3 signed up, okay.
Barbara, well, sorry to take me out of order, but Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard. I'm part of the story, so I wanted to speak first to kind of give you fill in the rest of the context here. So after that May 3rd BOCC meeting, and the direction from the board was to get everybody together, Spencer Brass from Pilot Country and myself talked about what would be achieved in a moratorium ordinance or goals for this moratorium ordinance to move forward back to the board here. And the things that were important to both of us, and Spencer is on WebEx from Italy, so he's attending. Hopefully you guys can hear from him. But what was important to all of us was that, one was that we followed state law. 2 was that we came up with something clear and implementable by your staff. You have a lot going on here in Pasco County, and so we didn't want to make sure that was clear. Also, to protect the airports, but also be fair to the property owners. We have property rights around these airports. We own my clients own property. And so with those goals in mind, we crafted an outline, Spencer and myself, of the things, how we would rewrite this ordinance. And then we worked with other stakeholders in that process, the county attorney's office, county staff, Clark Hobby, myself, and came up with what's before you today. And so we think we've come up with something that kind of achieves a balance, which is surprising that I think we were able to do that and meet each one of those goals. But we did it in a way of working collaboratively, and I really hope that moving forward, because this has been a long time, and it's been a struggle. It shouldn't have been that way. Hopefully it won't be that way. But moving forward, hopefully we have a working relationship and a trust now between the parties that we can move forward and work on these regulations in a manner consistent with this ordinance, because we see this ordinance as foreshadowing how the airport zoning regulations are going to go. So with regard to the pending ordinance and the dates, I have had people say to me, you've had it pending since the 6th or 8th of February, but your ordinance is starting today, and it's 6 months from today. So I just point that out. I think we can work, within whatever you ultimately adopt today, if you change dates or how you want to apply things. Pending ordinance, people do not know about it. They didn't know about it, and so that does catch people. But the ordinance itself allows people to move forward. If you're in the runway protection zone, it prohibits anything for 6 months because that's the most critical area to protect those airports. But in the airport protection zones, it does have a path to move forward. So even if somebody was under the pending ordinance doctrine, there is a path for them to be able to move forward during the moratorium. So thank you all for all of your attention to this and all your work on it. I think we've learned a lot. That'll help us to get these airport zoning regulations done. The only way we're going to get them done is if we work together again as a stakeholder group and we follow the state law and don't try to go outside of state law and try to regulate development outside of state law. You guys can take those case by case and hear those cases and make decisions. But if we continue down the path we've set up here in this moratorium ordinance, I think we'll be successful. Thank you.
Barbara, I had a question for you, because I know that one that we approved on Ridge Road is exempt from this, but in reading about what happens in a protection zone, I did see that one of the safety features is putting some kind of lighting on the roofs of buildings, and I just wondered if we might see if the person building those apartments might consider putting some kind of lighting on the roof of.
I'm sure we can consider anything and look at that. It's an FAA determination when these projects are sent to the FAA within the airport protection zone, and they're all required to go to the FAA for a determination. The FAA makes that determination, and if you're above a certain height, sometimes they just don't say no. I think they can say no at some point when there's no mitigation. But above a certain height, it's my understanding that they can make recommendations that you have to light it. As you know, cell towers are above a certain height and they're lit.
Yeah.
And so it's that same process, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we have some other people signed up.
We do. The first person signed up is Mark Budd.
Okay, Mark Budd, 11748 Driver Lane, Spring Hill, Florida. And I live at Pilot Country, commercial pilot. I spoke here last time. I was in that meeting on the 10th. It was a good meeting, and I believe we did move forward. But I just saw the draft just this morning, so I didn't really get to see exactly what was in it. But the notification for the prospective buyers of the property. I think it was missing something because it talks about nuisance noise and disruptions. Well, that's not really the only thing that the statute was trying to protect. It's safety around the airport for both the pilots and, the airport operations and the people around the airport. So it would be nice to have, in addition to that notification that's already worded there, that to talk about the elevated risk around the airport and those of especially close into the airport. I brought up at the meeting that 62% of any incidents or accidents related to fixed-wing general aviation aircraft occur in the landing and takeoff phase. That's close to the airport. So while aviation is very safe and it's fairly remote that anything would happen, it still exists. So there still is an elevated risk around the airport. And so if they're going to know about the noise and those disruptions, they should also know about the elevated risk. Be it small, it still is there. Okay, so that'd be my recommendation. So really, that's all I got.
Well, it does lead to a question.
Okay.
Are you aware of any crashes at Pilot Country?
There was, I think, 3 incidents in the past several years. There was one involving a twin-engine 310 coming in for a landing, and he had an unsafe gear situation, and so there's no way to tell whether the gear was going to hold or not. So he touched down, and the gear started to fold, and he was managed to get off the ground again. And prop took a few divots out of the runway at the same time. And then he thought, well, I'll give it one more try, and still started to fold on him. He went to Tampa and did a gear-up landing. Another incident was a guy lost control on landing, ended up in somebody's yard on the field. And I don't believe anybody was hurt in that incident. This happened, I think, in the last 10 years. And then there was another incident involving a small ultralight aircraft where a pilot took off and came low around the field and was too low coming into the airport and ended up in the electrical wires.
Ooh.
That was a fatality.
Yeah, I remember that one. Do you, as a homeowners association, require inspections on your planes to make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
they're safe? Or is that an FAA thing?
That's
or?
an FAA thing. So, in general, aviation is very safe, and as far as miles driven or flown, aviation is safer than car transportation.
I tell myself that every time I fly.
The only thing that's really
It gets
different,
really, really bumpy.
that the fatality rate is unfortunately higher because you involve higher speeds
Yeah.
if there is an incident. So that's a problem. And myself, I've been flying for over 40 years. I've had 3 incidents of an emergency landing, so all involving a power loss. 2 in single engine and 1 in a multi-engine. I've flown quite a number of hours, so, and they all were fine.
Thank you.
But invariably, when you, as a pilot, and you're in an airport environment, if something does go wrong, you're going to try and get back to that airport.
Yes, yeah. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Next speaker.
Mark Twalfhoven?
Yes, good afternoon, commissioners and everybody who's interested. I want to say thank you for the work that has been done.
Mr.
by-
Twalfhoven, we need your name and address for
Oh,
the
I'm
record
sorry.
first. Thank you.
My name is Mark Twalfhoven. I live on 11800 Driver Lane in Spring Hills. I'm the owner of Pilot Country Airport. It's a public use airport. It's privately owned. My name is Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you for the work that has been done by both the commission and by the committee that was put together for working on the airport protection zone. Particularly Barbara Wilhite recently with Spencer have said, let's get together and hammer out something that is workable so that we have a moratorium that is actually practical. So I think I would echo that we welcome that has being worked on. Mark Budd just mentioned the issue of safety. I think currently we're working. Why has it been in response to some of the commissioners that said this has been going on what seems forever? And our response to that is that, yes, there has been a Florida statute 330 and 333, which became law already 5 years or in 2017. So I'm glad to see that Pasco is finally addressing what has been a requirement by Florida statute for a long time. I welcome also the developers to talk to the airport so that we have some compatibility in the development that we see around airports, so I look forward to that. And one of my concerns is that the moratorium is for 180 days. We all know how fast that can go because, in fact, we started on this years ago. At least I was involved with zoning. And I would just ask that we can look forward to continued work on making sure that long-term we have a safe public facility for Pasco. And I look forward to the contributions that, as an airport owner, we can make to the Pasco County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next.
And the last person who has previously signed up is Paul Thatcher.
Do we have anyone online?
We do, one person.
My name is Paul Thatcher. I live in 9344 Dantel Drive, Newport Richey, Florida, 34654.
Thank you.
It's in Tanglewood Estates. My information is not of here immediately, but in 1989, I bought a high-rise condo in Pompano Beach, Florida, at Palm Air Country Club. I bought the penthouse, 10 stories high. We were 1 mile from Pompano Municipal Airport. We were not on the runway glide path, either on landing or taking off. But in late 1990s, we had a DC-3 lose power coming off the airport, and it crashed in the municipal area, residential area. Devastating. A DC-3 is a large aircraft, twin engine. I know them for a fact, because I've flown in quite a few of them. There was no reason for that other than that the municipal airport was there first. There was no residential, not even Palm Air Country Club. It was built after the fact. The city fathers there did not put a safe zone either before or after that airport. Now, I know that there was other incidents where there was aircraft that took off and had engine trouble, and like the pilot just said, they do their best to get back to that airport, if possible. So there was small aircraft that I know that flew closer than 500 feet, which is the standard for that aircraft. Nothing below 500 feet other than landing or taking off. One night, we had a 4-engine aircraft come within 200 feet of my condo. And he was coming from the north to the south. And that runway is an east-west runway for landing and taking off. Those engines, he had those suckers cranked up big time because he was in trouble. And he was doing his best to get to that airport. I could have swore that man was going to land that craft in my living room because I was within 100 feet of him. Have you ever been within 100 feet of a 4-engine aircraft believe me,
Thank
a
you.
moratorium is needed here. Lights on top of that building will not
Thank you.
stop the accident.
Thank you. And sadly, I was almost, I think I was in 100 yards of another plane 35,000 feet up a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, so that was a little
Try
scary.
100 feet.
All right, we have someone online?
We do. We have Spencer Brass. Mr. Brass, you have been unmuted.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, if you could state your name and address for the record and then begin your comments.
Yes, Spencer Brass, 11500 Pilot Country Drive. And just wanted to jump on here really quick from Italy and echo what Barbara and Mark have kind of said. It was very well noted that we needed to get together. Barbara and I worked hard with staff and other people, other stakeholders of the community, of various communities, and we think that we put together a moratorium that addresses the concerns of the airports, but allows developers and landowners to continue to use their land, but going through a process that helps to ensure safety for everyone. So just wanted to echo that. Appreciate everybody's time, and we'll get to work on the ordinances as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak on this? If not, it's to the board.
I would like a motion to approve.
A second with just a little discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody on the stakeholder committee. Elizabeth, Denise, you guys did a great job working this through. You gave us time to make sure we got it right, so thanks for your great work.
And I'm just up here because I wanted to make sure that you are taking the walk-on version that I gave you with these edits as the motion for this one? Okay.
Yes, and at this point, we can focus on moving forward with the APZ. Thank you.
All right, all in favor? Wait, is this a roll call?
Roll call vote.
It
Okay,
is.
roll call.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Moore. District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. Okay. Now we are on to
71, which is
71.
Do you want me to read the procedures while you're? There are two rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there is no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual, or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code. Madam Clerk, would you like to swear those people in?
Yes, sir. If
That
you are
wish to
here to
speak?
speak on the rest of the agenda, if you could please stand up and be, so that I can administer the swearing in. Okay, very good. Please raise your right hands. There you go. Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right. Which one are we on?
71.
P71.
Item P71 was published, wait, I'm sorry. There is no proof on this one, sorry.
That's a withdrawal.
It is.
So we're going to go on to
Withdrawn item,
P72.
Yeah, so
Okay.
do you want me to just read the title? PDD 227287, this is to withdraw from consideration. No further action is required on this one.
Thank you.
Well, I am curious, what happened there?
So, yes, grateful for your curiosity. So this came to the board on March 27th, and the board continued it to a date uncertain. They're ready to move forward with the project again. However, so many things have changed. The ownership has changed, the acreage has changed, so they've submitted a new application and withdrawing the old application. It's basically what it is.
But this is going to be a type of workforce housing or affordable housing?
It will be some type of workforce housing, yes. It's coming to you in the future, so I would say probably prior to September, it'll be coming your way.
Okay, just didn't want it to go away.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I mean, I want to keep in mind with staff that, we're trying to keep our commercial property commercial and not switch it to residential.
This is an interesting one. I don't really want to get so much into the weeds on this one, but this is a conflict zoning. This is an area that has a residential land use, not a commercial land use, and it has commercial zoning that was approved prior to the comprehensive plan, so it's a conflict zoning, so, yeah.
Madam
I
Chair.
think
Not
that
debate
there's
this one
a,
today, because it's withdrawn. Let's move
It's
on.
withdrawn.
Wait,
yeah,
no,
it's
Madam Chair,
in the future.
This is not the time to talk about this
Madam
item.
Chair.
It's not on the agenda.
is it about this one?
yes.
Can we?
Is this next to Ozanam?
Yes.
Is it next to the
Yeah,
already?
a part of Osnum, so it's like
Yeah.
Osnum, I forgot what they call it, 4 or 5
Three.
or whatever.
Right. Okay,
Three,
moving
there
on.
you go.
Thank you. P72.
The next page.
Item P72 was published in Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
P72 is PDD 227600. This is a zoning amendment. The name of Leo at San Antonio, Mpd. Allville John and First National Bank of Mount Dora co-trustees. It's a rezoning request from C2 General Commercial District to an Mpd Master Plan Unit Development District to allow 376 multiple family units and 85,500 square feet of retail on approximately 40.05 acres. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission as contained in your agenda packet.
Okay, would the applicant like to?
No, this is on consent, so.
Oh,
does it-
okay. Does anyone here wish to speak against this? Item?
There's no one signed up, and no one on WebEx for this item.
Okay, we'll leave it on consent.
I don't want to pull it, Madam Chair. I
Yeah.
just want to make a statement, because this is something we got to work on with the comp plan going forward. Again, as we work through it, staff works through it. This is, again, these are actually single-family homes. Some a couple of, I think they're all single. I don't think any are really attached.
Family attached units,
Yeah,
yeah.
most of them aren't attached, though. Most of them are.
Some of them are detached.
Most of them are detached. So in the future, we got to make sure we get that done in the comp plan, because it causes so much confusion. When somebody thinks multifamily, they're thinking a multifamily complex. That's not what this is.
Well, there's a lot of different names for this, but I think it's horizontal multifamily is one that was said to me. My husband says a deconstructed multifamily. I don't know.
No.
There's,
Yeah.
huh?
They're single family as well. So anyways, moving on.
Well, it's not platted, so it's a little different,
Yeah.
right? They're not platted.
Yeah, most of this is going to be under single ownership, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Some are.
P73.
Item P73 was published in Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
P73 is PDD 227603. It's a zoning amendment in the name of MB Real Estate Leasing LLC, Softwin. It's for change in zoning from AC Agricultural District to I2 General Industrial Park District. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against this item?
No one has signed up and no one on WebEx.
Thank you. P74.
Item P74 was published in Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
P74 is PDD 22CU12. It's conditional use in MB Real Estate Leasing LLC, Softwin. It's for fertilizer manufacturing in an I2 General Industrial Park District. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions as included in your agenda packet from both the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Anyone wishing to speak against this item?
No one has signed up for this item and no one on WebEx.
Leave it on consent. I'll accept a motion for consent.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Second. Oh.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. P75.
Madam Chair, would it be okay to take P76 prior to P75? Because it's actually a continuance, and I should have read it right after the withdrawn, but I got a little bit excited about our conversation about Ozanam.
Okay.
So P76 is a continuance?
I know there's folks that are here to speak to the matter, but perhaps we can explain that, because the request, we just received a request for continuance 3 hours prior to this
On
meeting.
P76?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me
Is
do
that
the
okay?
pub. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do the publication on P76 is published on Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
So P76 is PDD 227609. It's a zoning amendment, D&D LLC, for a change in zoning from an R4 high-density residential district to an MF1 multiple family medium-density district. The applicant has requested a continuance to the June 21st, 2022 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Move to continue time, sir.
Madam Chairman, as I normally recommend, this was not as an advertised continuance.
Let's see if
If
anyone wants to
if there are members of the public which cannot attend the meeting on June,
21st, 2022 at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
then you can give them an opportunity to speak now. If they speak now, they are precluded from speaking at the next hearing. But this, since this was an action item, I generally recommend that you take public comment from those who cannot attend the continuance date.
All right, so if you understood that, you have one opportunity to speak. You can speak today, or you can speak at the June 21st meeting. It's your choice. Would anyone like to speak to this issue today? You can come up to the podium. Yeah. Would anyone else here like to speak?
And this nice lady has questions, so it might be good to have them on the record.
Okay,
Hi, it's my first time ever coming, so I apologize.
welcome. Name and address.
My name is Holly Newman. I live at 13703 Gopher Pond Court, Hudson, Florida, 34703, I believe.
And you've been sworn?
Oh, yes, I did. I stood up.
Okay.
So I just have a couple of questions, and I live in Timberwood Acres, which is near Kitten Trail and Hicks, and I came across the posting on Nextdoor. I drove out to where this site is supposed to be, and these are the questions that a few of our neighbors came up with. I live in a really beautiful community. We're a lot of veterans, so a lot of us served in the armed forces, including myself and my husband. We have a lot of firefighters, EMT, police officers. A few of us are still working as civil service folks. And these are the questions that all of our neighbors came up with. The concerns are the flooding to the adjacent areas, including Little Road all the way to Denton Avenue. Has there been a traffic study, the increased traffic to Hicks, Kitten Trail, Hudson, and New York? It's already extremely difficult to turn onto Hicks and Kitten Trail. What steps are being taken to ensure Pasco Fire Rescue can handle this influx? According to the Pulse Point, we often go signal 40, which means no available rescue ambulance for medical or fire calls for service. The impact to the already strained schools, we have a lot of children in our 37 HOA residence area, so these are the concerns that our neighbors are having right now. And those are the only questions I have. I apologize for hitting you with these. And that's it. That's all I have for y'all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You all have a great day.
All right, does anyone else want to speak to this one today? Okay, then take a motion to continue.
And there is no one on WebEx for this item.
Okay. Take a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
That would be to the date certain that
To
Ms.
time
Hernandez.
certain.
You already made the motion.
Oh, we already ended, sorry.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Like I said, if Oakley wasn't sick, I'd be home. P75.
Item P75 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 6, 2022.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tammy Snyder, Planning and Development Department. We have the Aprilli CC Mpd PDD 227557. And here's the location map. That is Elam Road to the south of it, Kenton to the west. Proposes a rezoning from AC Agricultural Zoning District to a CCMPUD, Connected City Master Plan Unit Development District, to allow the development of a maximum of 286,000 square feet of office uses on a minimum of 4 acres and 525 residential dwelling units within a total project area of 158 acres. The dwelling units consist of a mix of single-family detached, attached, and/or multifamily. And the applicant is also seeking variations from the Land Development Code, Section 901.6.d.10, Street Design and Dedication, which requires all dead-end streets to provide a cul-de-sac, and the applicant is requesting a waiver from this requirement for dead-end streets that are less than 150 feet in length. And LDC Section 805.6, restrictions on post-development wetlands and upland buffers within residential lots and non-residential parcels. It requires a mandatory association or CDD, and the applicant is requesting a waiver for the multifamily and the non-residential portions under single ownership. Staff analysis is that 901.6.d.10, the fire marshal's concern for life safety. He has made the determination that dead-end streets less than 150 feet are acceptable without a cul-de-sac, and staff understands that the fire marshal's determination does allow for this variation. 805.6, staff is amenable to allowing the request as it only pertains to the multifamily and non-residentials if they are under single ownership. If the areas are not under single ownership, then the standard association CDD condition still applies. Here's the master plan. The subject site is currently vacant, has primarily been used for agricultural pursuits, and a 12.18 acre portion of the MPUD is currently owned by Withlacoochee River Electric Cooperative. The project area is in the central market area and outside of any urban service or rural areas. In Connected City, there are 192 single-family detached entitlements remaining, and the Aprilia CC MPUD allows for 525 residential units subject to the land use equivalency matrix for unit types, with a maximum of 192 single-family detached permitted project-wide. The proposed area is within the community hub special planning area of the Connected City, and as such, it's required to have a medium-density residential area. The proposed density of the residential portion of Aprilia is 3.6 dwelling units per acre, which falls in the medium standards. The LDC Section 402.2.c.8 specifies that variations from this code may be reviewed and approved by the PC and BCC during the public hearing held on any application for the MPUD zoning amendment. Variations shall be allowed where the BCC specifically finds in this particular case that the proposed variations meet or exceed the intent of the code. Staff has reviewed the requested variations and find that they do meet the intent as noted above. The proposed request is consistent with the LDC Chapter 400, subsection 402.2 zoning amendment and PUD, and with the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And with that, the recommendation is approval with conditions.
Okay, here's the applicant, and I have some questions, but we'll let him do his presentation.
Madam Chair, Clark Hobby, Hobby & Hobby, PA 109 North Brush Street, Tampa, Florida, have been sworn. Here on behalf of the applicant, as staff noted, this is within the community hub zone of Connected City. Staff and the board have planned for this area to transition from what has been a historically rural area to a medium density area. Within the community hub area, the lower densities and more suburban form of development are to be located over along the Curly area and the Epperson area. And then we're transitioning over as you get through this area and move west into the business core area, which will have the highest intensity and highest density. Because our client knew that this was going to be a bit of a sea change for some of the residents that are out in the area, we've worked extremely hard with the neighbors, and we've made a series of private concessions to them to provide for additional landscaping, tree saves, tree mitigation, and so we're providing a good buffer for those folks. And as a result of that, we have 10 neighbors directly across the existing dirt road that is Kenton Road. We'll be building the first stretch of the new Kenton Road, which will be ultimately an arterial roadway. But we have the consent and letters of no objection from 8 of the 10 neighbors across the street. And I'd like to introduce this into the record and give it to the clerk.
Let's receive and file.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Again, as staff pointed out, it's a nice mixed-use project. We're working with Withlacoochee River Electric Cooperative, and we're going to have a service-ready site acreage site that they're going to develop at Elam and Kenton. Then we'll have, a mixture of single-family and what Connected City calls multifamily, which is a combination of row houses, as you noted, horizontal, multifamily kind of stuff, transitioning down to that. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that the board might have. I think we may have one person here to speak from the public about something related.
Commissioner Mariano?
I met with Mr. Hobby a little bit ago on this. I hadn't seen the LDC requirement of the request to remove the cul-de-sacs. I'm really, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. If you're going to have a smaller little road and it's going to dead end, if it's multifamily, you could have kids out there playing, et cetera. If you have cars that got to do a three-point turn, going back out, I don't know, we probably structure your garbage trucks. I mean, it's...
Let me have Jordan Schrader address that, because that's in a technical area that he knows a lot more about than I do, Commissioner Mariano. So.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Jordan Schrader, 3010 West Azile, Tampa, Florida, 33609. I have been sworn. This alternative variation, we're actually putting in all MPUDs. It's just a simple LDC cleanup. If you look at a residential subdivision, there's cul-de-sacs where it's longer than 150. There's often little dead-end streets that are 100 feet or so where that road ends and there are two houses on it. It's standard practice across the state of Florida. We do it in all areas. Our LDC says all roads have to enter a cul-de-sac. Staff, and Brad, you can jump in here. Everybody's agreed. We just need to clean up the code. All we need to do is clean up the code where roads are 120, which is very common, that there's no cul-de-sac there. It's traditional form. It's very common. It allows that gritty, layout that we want in this area. So we are asking for this on every MPUD. Staff is going to be working with an LDC cleanup item, just so that we don't have to ask staff for an alt standard later. We wrap it into every MPD that comes in now.
So how long is the street that doesn't have to have a cul-de-sac?
Less than 150. And it's from
What is that? How many homes are on a street like that?
Usually two.
Oh.
I can
Yeah,
show you.
that's not a lot of traffic.
Not about traffic, just think
Well-
about how the look of it. I mean, in Trinity, I've been down in it, and just like, it's weird.
Well, I don't even like cul-de-sacs, so I live on one, but I think everything should be connected when possible.
Good afternoon, yes. Connections wherever possible.
Right.
Brad Tippett, Planning and Development. To answer your question, this is one of those situations where the actual distance is fairly short, comparatively speaking. But what happens is if you try to put a cul-de-sac on an end of that street, you end up cutting pretty significantly into the private
Yeah.
land ownership.
Right.
Because of the
One
radii
house.
that are necessary to be able to go around and do some turns on the street. So the amount of room that's necessary for a cul-de-sac versus just having two homes that are touching there, the math just really doesn't work out. The fire department has consistently told us, the fire marshals
even have a
consistently said that
layout?
they're okay with that distance, that that's not a safety issue in their eyes. And we've made this basic
Should be in
change
the
on
last one.
most of the MPUDs that we've had that have come in and asked for it.
So these are the single-family homes going to have the cul-de-sac, not have the cul-de-sac?
Correct. We're actually, this alternative variation standard, we're submitting on every single project and everything. And we handle it on the PDP construction plan side of it. We wrap it into the zoning to save Brad's people the paperwork and processing that comes with that on every single time. We're being proactive for it. It would be for single family, or most commonly in a townhome or a horizontal build-for-rent residential style, where those two roads intersect, and it's never warranted for a cul-de-sac.
So if you get someone, Amazon coming in to deliver the truck, if they can't get in the driveway, they're going to make a spin move. What about like a waste truck that's got to come in?
The waste trucks, so the last driveway, there's always enough room for them to do their movements and turn around. And I can tell you from the 10,000 lots that we've done recently in Pasco, solid waste signs off on all of them. They haven't had any heartburn or issue. Solid waste has been able to serve without any issue. The stubs are very short. They're very common, and it's not long enough to where you'd ever have free flow traffic interfering with kids that would want to be out kicking the soccer ball or anything.
But if you're going to have two homes at the end, you're going to have one home could put it close to the edge of the roadway. The other one's going to be in, so the dump truck's got to go in there and get it somehow.
Correct.
And then you got to back up to get out.
Correct. Or use the driveway to turn around. It's
Suspect, okay.
So I have a question. Does anyone else have a question? And I'm trying to figure it out here, and I know we talked about bike trails or multi-use paths, if we want to call them that. And we mentioned that there's a 2-foot, well, I'm trying to figure out from your drawing, sorry, I'm not an engineer. I can't figure out if there even is one, and I get them all mixed up because I've had so many meetings. Do we even have a multi-use path here? But you mentioned that about the 2 feet, and I went back to my planning staff, and that 2 feet is a minimum. And I'm talking about placing the multi-use path against the road. So in my opinion, we should only be using the 2-foot minimum when there's constrictions from a wetland that keeps you from touching it. Otherwise, we got to get better about taking these further away from the road. We had a couple that got hit by a car and killed on Tarpon. We can't landscape it. We can't, it's just not good to smash it up against the road. It's just a glorified sidewalk. So I have a question about the multi-use path, if there is one on this road.
Well, Jordan can address, but just so you know, there are adopted cross-sections in the comp plan for connected city that we have to follow. So if the board wants us to do something other than that and projects going forward, the cross-section would have to change in the comp plan. So, but Jordan can explain the cross-section.
Jordan Trader. First off, I'd like to thank Commissioner Starkey. For 10 years, you've been calling me up here to ask about meandering sidewalks, and we appreciate your consistency.
I'm not sure how I should take that.
I've been called up
No, go ahead, Jordan.
So, Commissioner Starkey, this project includes the first extension of Kenton Road, which goes from Elam North to
Yeah.
Road B on that site plan.
Yep.
The cross-sections for that, we're adopted with the connected cities cross-sections. What it is the interim condition has a dedicated 6-foot multi-purpose lane that is actually inside the curb.
Yeah,
When the road gets, and it's part of the master plan.
We really messed up on
It-
that approval, because who's going to let their kids ride on the street?
The ultimate build-out, which is a 4-lane section, then Brad, you may want to speak to the planning team that put together Connected Cities. Once it's a 4-lane road, they want to see pedestrians and cyclists move outside the travel lane into a dedicated multi-purpose path. That's what happens when that road gets 4-laned. The interim condition for the 2-lane section that has a dedicated oversized bike and multi-purpose paths, against the travel lane, we have used these cross-sections to negotiate very longly with neighbors to secure the right-of-way needed. We're living and dying by the governing documents for the connected cities in this cross-section.
Okay, so I know in Epperson, they have all these trails for golf carts and everything, so you can get around the community without having to get on the main road, right?
Correct. And we
Does this
actually-
neighborhood have that, since it's,
Correct.
how do they get around the neighborhood without being on the road?
Correct. So, and do the commissioners have the Mpd Master Plan maybe in front of them? There's a little graphic. We can pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, the only thing I see in the package is a walk. It's not a conceptual plan.
Okay, so
That.
everybody on the board is obviously familiar. The Epperson project is located east outside the screen here.
That's it
They're
on the
making-
bottom, right?
Correct. That's to the right of the screen. So they're making the improvements in Elam, and then this project, I need a point, have a laser pointer? Right here. There we go. How's it work?
Just hold it at, it's slow. There you go. You see it?
Well, we can't
No, I don't.
opposite direction.
Coming and going.
You see the red square?
Down at the
At
bottom?
the corner, correct. That's the
Yeah.
intersection of Elam and Kenton Road, and we're building the first segment of Kenton Road to the north. We're also making access improvements on Elam Road. We worked really hard with staff. They made sure that we are building the dedicated golf cart lanes in Elam Road along all of our frontage and transitioning and tying into the east project so
And
that.
at the bottom along,
So there are 3 big projects coming in on Elam Road. There's Epperson, further east. Then there's the white space on this graphic was a separate MPD called Woodville Palms. They're making their own improvements where they're building that lane, and then we're picking up and finishing it from there. So you have a continuous golf cart lane in Elam Road. Now, if we go north on Kenton, which as Clark mentioned earlier, is the major north-south collector road parallel to Curly inside Connected Cities. In there, we're building dedicated golf cart lanes in that collector road. If you go north, the first right is called Road A. That is a subdivision collector road where we'll have golf cart lanes and speed slow enough where the golf carts can go into this community and also the residential community to the east. The two blue arrows are local interconnects that we've added. We were only required one. We have two of those, so there'll be golf cart connections at each of those blue arrows right there. And if you can envision, there's a non-residential hub at the red, interconnected blue arrows there so that folks with golf carts can go back and forth between these communities. And then when they get on these north-south road Kenton, that's a collector, they're dedicated golf cart lanes for there. So the master plan.
Eventually. When it goes to 4-lane.
No. In the interim condition in 2 lanes, we will construct the golf cart lanes. When it goes to 4 lanes, it becomes 4 dedicated travel lanes, and the county constructs a separate dedicated path.
Okay, I feel better.
Any other questions? If not, I'll wait for I think we may have one neighbor that wants to talk about a drainage issue that doesn't necessarily pertain to this, but I'll wait for any additional questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Did someone want to come speak on this issue?
I have Michael Poltorek signed up to speak.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the time. Thank you for taking our comments and hearing our side of this. Michael Poltorek, 9152 Kenton Road, Wesley Chapel, 33545. We purchased the property in
And you've been sworn?
Yes, we have.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
have. All right. We are an adjacent property to here. We purchased in 2020. We are in the process of building out a small farm right there in the middle of this, which is going to be amazing because we're still going to be able to show the connected city what some of Pasco looks like, okay? We are pro-responsible growth, and we are pro-responsible development. Here's one of the issues. The Pasco connected city, some of the development is getting ahead of the infrastructure a little bit too quick. 2 examples are fire rescue is signal 40 continuously because we don't have completed fire stations. And another example is right on McKendree Road, right around the corner from this and in the middle of the connected city. It's a dirt road, 2 lanes. We now have a commercial ice arena, an ice skating rink on a dirt road that's in its final phase of completion, and there's no paved road to get in or out for any of these people. So we're getting ahead just a little bit, and I'd like to point out our biggest concern. Could you bring up our...
It's giving me an error when I'm trying to go to help. I apologize.
This property is adjacent to King Lake. I have a... Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, can you just pause this time?
Yeah.
Thank you. The majority of this document was actually shown to the Planning Commission as well, so they have seen it as part of public records.
So it should come up, is what you're saying.
There's a few slides added from the last meeting. All right. I apologize, and I'll
no
try to
problem.
make it as
We're
quickly
waiting.
as I can. I may have to ask for...
What are we trying to load up? Okay.
Yeah, we have a full PowerPoint presentation that show the actual lake, King Lake, that's adjacent to this property. The lake level since '09 has gone up about 7 feet. In the dry period of the season, the dry season of the year, right now on the rear of our property, you can only see the top of our 4-foot cattle posts. This used to be dry. It was seasonal with rainfall. We've lost 750 linear feet of property out into the lake at this point, where we're at right now. In this document is also the historical rainfall data to show rain had nothing to do with what's going on. Historically, there was 3 outflows for this lake. One to the north that became Murata, one to the south, which became Epperson, and there's one to the west that now continuously overflows across and through Kenton Road every time it rains, even in the dry season. This development may not be the issue at hand. However, what's in the process of happening is if 40 acres of this property is covered with hard surface, we're going to have over 1.7 million square feet of land area that has to shed water somewhere. The natural place with gravity for it to go is into the lake. We are already way too high for a water elevation level. The property across the street from us, which is 9247 Kenton Road, is under contract with D.R. Horton. That is the only place this lake overflows at this point. So one of the hiccups that we're gonna have, and I'm pointing it out right now because there's an easy solution to this. When D.R. Horton wants to put another 300 single-family residentials where the outflow for this lake is, they're gonna wanna dam up this lake. It's gonna keep the remainder of the water in this lake, which is going to flood out all of the current residents. All the residents on the west side of this lake are already fighting floodwaters as it is. If that outflow gets stopped, everybody's gonna be living in our 100-year floodplain as an everyday occurrence. Now, where this development is, and you have the map from their presentation, all right, on the southwest corner of this is your stormwater facility, your stormwater
A reservoir.
reservoir, all right? So they already bring it in, and they send out the reclaimed water. We need you to protect your current residents, and we need to welcome our new residents, but we can't flood out those of us that are currently here to allow for more residents as it is.
Well, I can tell you that Swiftmud won't allow that. They'll have to have a master water plan, and they're not allowed to put any more water on any of your property. So they'll have to get their permits, and it'll all be engineered. And lots of times I've seen that where that helps neighborhoods. So,
They haven't returned our calls this yet, so.
well, my guess is when they come back up, they'll address that.
It's up. Your presentation's up.
Oh, perfect. Could I ask for 90 seconds to
Yep,
just show you
yep.
what we have? Thank you. Can you go to the next slide? That's the beautiful King Lake. This is the actual satellite view in '09, where you can see what the top view of our properties look like. Can you go forward one, please? Okay, darn it, that's the old one from the Planning Commission. If you can flip forward to 2020, it's probably up about 6, 7 slides. You'll see the lake has filled in, and can you go forward one more for me? This is the historical rainfall, just so that you can see that between '09 and '18, when these satellite images were taken, it wasn't a rain-induced situation. This is the actual satellite view of how much property we've currently lost. This doesn't take into account any additional land that we're going to lose with that water level coming up at all. Can you go forward one more for me? Okay, there was a different presentation for today which showed the location of this development, the location of the stormwater facility. They're actually adjacent.
I have it
You're
here on
fixing
my
to put a new road in between. We need help setting a max elevation for that lake, and so that the stormwater, instead of it all going into our backyards, can go to a responsible place so that it can go back out and be used for reclaimed water for our current citizens.
All right, thank you. And we'll have, I'm sure well, is there anyone else who wants to speak on this issue? Oh, here's another one. And do we have anyone online?
We have no one on WebEx for this item.
Okay. And would anyone else besides this gentleman like to speak? Okay, this will be our last public comment.
My name is Philip Singletary. I live at 8723 Kenton Road. I'm one of the 2 people who didn't sign their agreement. A simple thing on the...
Have you been sworn, sir?
I'm sorry?
Sir, have you been sworn?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
Kenton Road is a private road on the south end, a half a mile. That's where they're going to put the 2 entranceways that we can have access to the new Kenton Road. One concern that I have is the only fire hydrant that we have in the whole area is at the very end of the south end of Kenton Road, which they're going to shut off. I've been told that they can't keep that road open because you can't have 2 parallel roads. So that's an issue I have. You can't put a cul-de-sac down there because they're starting a turning lane. They're going to widen Elam Road. So a simple solution to me would be keep the road open. Your mail can come through, the garbage trucks can come through. They've been doing it forever. And that's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you. All right, we'll get the answers. All right, please come back up and answer the questions and maybe explain how the drainage will work.
Sure. This is Clark Hobby again. I'm going to turn it over to Jordan Trader because these are technical comments, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I think our neighbor who just not Mr. Singletary, but the previous neighbor, he actually lives about a quarter of a mile north. He's not immediately adjacent to our site. And his primary issue is he's worried there's a discharge about a half mile or a mile from our site that historically conveyed water out, might have been blocked by one of the neighbors. We did meet with him after Planning Commission. My understanding from county staff is that they're looking into it, maybe an open code enforcement matter that may address his issue. Regardless, I know Jordan will be looking at all these outfall issues as part of the design and permitting of it. And I'm going to turn over these other things to Jordan. I just wanted to say, finally, you know, we worked really, really hard to take care of our neighbors, and we've done everything we can to transition their existing dirt Kenton Road to leave as much of it in place for them as they want in the interim condition while giving them a connection to our new road that we're going to build, which will have all the utilities. So we're building all the
Fire hydrant?
infrastructure.
And a
I'm going to
fire
let Jordan
hydrant?
talk about the fire hydrants. I don't get into that level. But I will say this, I think the board is smart enough to realize you can't have 25 feet away from one another, an arterial roadway and another road. That's just, safety's not going to work. And anyway, for those reasons, you know, staff and Planning Commission unanimously supported this, so we'd ask for your support. I'm going to turn it over to Jordan now on the technical stuff.
Okay.
Good afternoon. First, I'll speak to the drainage from the neighbor who spoke first. He met with us at Planning Commission. We actually met after and talked to him also. He's correct. There are 3 points of drainage connection. There actually, though, he said there's 3 outfalls. There's 1 inflow and 2 outflows. There's 1 inflow into King Lake that comes across from the south, across Elam Road. And then there are 2, one from the north and one from the west. And again, he lives a little further to the north, so the one to the west is not connected to our property. It's further to the north. He mentioned there will be another piece of property that's under contract, we believe to be another home builder. When that comes in, I think we can speak to the drainage for that and making sure that they maintain that existing outfall and don't block or, obviously they're not allowed to block and hold up King Lake. There's our codes as well as SWIFT regulations prohibit that. This neighbor believed there may be some blockage to the outflow to the north. We put him in touch with the right people at SwiftMud, John Pawanda and their compliance department. We gave him all his contact information so that with county code enforcement as well as the water management district, they can make sure that there have not been any unpermitted drainage impediments to the north. So we've given him all the tools to be able to make sure that those 2 outfalls are not. As far as our development, we're going to make sure that we're designed and permitted in accordance with ours as well as state regulation to make sure that we don't increase or alter any of the drainage patterns of King.
So normally when people talk about lake levels, I mention the overpumping and the stopping of overpumping and the lake levels coming up. But I'm not sure in this area that's an issue.
It's been too recent. Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So we can't speak from the audience, just nod your head yes or no. And it's Mr. Poltorak, is that correct? Poltorak? You stated that, obviously, thanks for putting them in touch or getting a hold of John Pawanda, but they never reached back out to you? No? Okay. So Commissioner Oakley's not here. It is his district, but I will tell you this. I'll make sure that I work with John Pawanda, myself, and make sure he meets with you and goes to the site.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll call John or I'll call the executive director or whatever, because if you have that issue going on out there on the outflow, wherever that may be, obviously you want to look at that, because I thought King Lake was, for a while, before you even were there, it was getting low, wasn't it? Yeah, it was getting pretty low for a while there. I think it was getting too low. It was hurting the fishing.
At the Planning Commission, yeah, right, so at the Planning Commission, Chris Williams, who lives on Lake Pasadena, Buddy Lake, he brought up, he said, look, I've lived out there for a long time, and I've seen 2009 was a dramatically low year. We've seen it come back up. These lakes are starting to restore to some of their historical patterns, but people are losing in land for associated if they've come in. So,
right.
Again, as Clark mentioned earlier, we're seeing a transition in a
So,
formerly rural area.
Andy, we get with Mr., is that Mrs. Poltorak next to you? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Poltorak. Andy will get with you. We'll get your information. I'll make sure we make the connection with SwiftMud so they can go to your site, look at what, try to see what that issue is. Obviously, it's not this site that's causing the issue, but we want to make sure we can try to do what we can to help you figure this out, because obviously you want to maintain as much of your property as possible. So.
Let me speak to the fire hydrants. So there's an existing water main on the north side of Elam right now. When we build New Kenton Road to the north, we are in compliance with Connected Cities Master Water Plan. It calls for a obviously new and significant water main on the west side, so most nearly located to the residents of Kenton. We're going to be bringing that brand-new water main to the north. We would not otherwise be required to install hydrants in a collector road that didn't have intensities right on it. I think in this case, we could make sure that we install fire hydrants on the west side of Kenton Road in proximity to the neighbors to the west as a sign of good faith. We can space those in accordance with residential standards so that they now have new hydrants closer to their houses much more than they do today.
Okay. So we can't, Madam Chair, I don't think we can add that as part of our motion today to add the fire
It's an
hydrants.
MPD, you could if you wanted
Okay.
to.
All
but-
right, you're good with that? Okay,
We're good
all
with
right,
it.
all right,
We
cool.
don't want fire, and we don't want problems, okay?
Okay.
All right, so then, I
You wanna
think we
speak to
can,
the Kenton Road?
Commissioner Mariano?
Yeah, let me just go back to the cul-de-sac thing. And again, I have discomfort with it. When I look at 150 feet, that's about triple the length from where you are to the wall. So if a garbage trucks could come in at 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, backing up there, some kids out there getting ready to go to school, or someone else's car is, or just someone's walking there, it's a dangerous situation, in my opinion. How wide are the roads going to be?
Standard 50-foot right-of-way, 10-foot travel lane, so they're local roads.
All right, so you got 10-foot travel lines, so 20-foot wide, and the truck's going to take up at least most of that square footage on half of it. Yeah, I don't know where the demand was to change the cul-de-sacs. I mean, I like you, Commissioner Stark, I'd like to see the connections all the way through, but if they're going to be dead-end roads, I've just never seen anyone that looked comfortable to me, where I wouldn't want to live at the end of one of those.
Jordan,
We don't have the layout, so
Madam
we
Chair?
can't see the.
Jordan, are you hammerheading them?
It
Or
would be a hammerhead situation. That's
So,
what it's,
so that's how the trucks turn around, is they're hammerheading the, so,
pick an
you're
urban-
the engineer.
Vision an urban grid, right? And it is a hammerhead where two roads intersect. It happens in all urban planning and form. We have a suburban code that we're just trying to get caught up to the urban form that we want in these areas. And I'd love to work directly with you, Commissioner Mariano, as a,
Well, that's a good
Doesn't mean they have to
clarification.
back out. It's like a three-point turn?
correct.
Three-point turn.
So you set the house back a little bit further
Correct.
on the very end?
Correct.
All right, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank
we
you.
didn't better explain that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. Happy to answer any other
Thanks, Jeff.
Madam Chair, I think we can work through that. We'll work with the residents. So I'll make a motion to approve and add the fire hydrants that we spoke about to the approval.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, we are to P77.
Item P77 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 13th, 2022.
Ainsley Caldwell, Public Works. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is PW 22-0080, and this is the El Sol Court, PVAS number 3479. It's one street, it's county maintained, it's paved, and the estimated cost is approximately $23,600. The maximum cost per ERU is $7,852.34. The discounted amount is $4,889.28. The maximum cost after the discount per ERU is $6,139.25. There are 4 possible votes. Only 2 responded. One was a yes vote and one was a no vote, so we have the 50% required. That's why we're here. Annual installments is over a 10-year period, and the interest rate is at 3.25%. This is a location map and an example of the condition of the road, and staff is recommending approve.
It's not much of a road. Wow. Is this the first time coming in for a PVAS?
Yes.
It's in my district. Is there anyone here to speak against this?
We have a couple.
Against this?
Yes.
We have a couple people signed up to speak, but I don't know about if it's
Against
or
Esau
for.
Court? Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hugh Townsend, 9701 Hermosillo Drive, Newport Richey, Florida, 34655. El Sol, the Sun Court. There were 2 that responded. My house is, by the way, contiguous to El Sol Court. 2 people responded. I was the negative, and Mrs. Marvin was the positive. Dr. and Mrs. Sani responded in the negative. However, they were just a little bit late. I have a letter from Dr. and Mrs. Sani stating that they still object to the project and that they had made repeated requests to have the potholes filled over a long period of time. I'd like to enter their letter signed, dated 17 May of this, well, they dated it 2021, but it is current. I can have her re-sign it if you wish. I'd like to have it entered into evidence.
Motion to receive and file.
So move. Are we second?
All in favor?
I'm not sure now. What am I doing over here?
Now, I also have a letter from the other owners, Maria Samis and her husband, Halapanos. They also object. They are new residents from New York City. They did not fully understand the letters that they received. I explained it to them. They have a handwritten letter dated 17 May 2022, to whom it may concern, also objecting, and they do not want the project to continue. Permission to enter into evidence.
Motion to receive and file.
Good.
All in favor? Aye.
Next, I have a letter from Mrs. Pat Marvin, the affirmative vote, basically dated again 17 May 2021 again, but I'm sure she meant 22. I can have her re-sign it here. The introduction is, we attended a community meeting on 3 May 2022 and spoke with Representative Ansley Caldwell. Based on the information provided at the informal meeting, we would not like to proceed with the PVAS recommendation. Her conclusion, we kindly request PVAS 3479er not to proceed nor be fulfilled, as we have no desire to shoulder the shared monetary burden of repaving the roadway. Now, I would like to enter this letter also into the evidence. Permission to approach?
Motion to receive and file.
Next time, just hand them to them all at once, man.
I
Well,
need
the
a second.
dramatic effect.
Motion.
I need a
The
second.
dramatic effect of reading
Ariana's
it.
a
Now,
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
on the 4 May informal meeting with Ansley Caldwell, Chief Project Manager, we expressed a desire that,
Thank you. See, if you had done those all at one time, you would have saved some time.
well, in conclusion, I just want to say that after the May 4th meeting on Cinco de Mayo, a crew from the county arrived at El Sol Court and repaired half the cul-de-sac. On 6 May, they returned to El Sol Court, repaired the rest of the cul-de-sac, and I believe that the issue is moot. The potholes and issues have been repaved. So I'm requesting that this issue be dropped. I had originally sent an email on 28 April requesting that millings and rolling be done, as was done on many other streets in Hunters Ridge at no cost to our residents. But now that the issue has been resolved by Mr. Caldwell's people coming out and repairing, I would like to have this entire repaving issue be dropped.
Your time's really up.
Okay.
So, gosh, that is not a pothole situation. No, you're, sorry, thank you.
Madam Chair, there are 3 other people signed up.
Okay, so would anyone else like to speak on this issue?
I have 3 other people signed up. Hardeep Sani.
Is that on this one?
That's on this one? We have another PVAS coming up. You want to speak to this
She's
one?
signed up on 77.
Okay, come on up. Did
then
anyone
there
else
was-
there sign up to speak?
There's a person by the name of Bobby also signed up.
Bobby here? Okay, anyone else who wants to speak on P77, you can come up.
And there's Patricia Marvin.
So anyone who wants to speak on P77, please line up.
Madam Chair, do we have pictures of the road fixed in the past 2
Well,
weeks?
I'm going to guess it's a temporary fix. It's not, it's just, yeah, okay, go ahead.
My name is Hardeep Sani.
You want to lower that mic for, there you go.
My name is Hardeep Saini, and I live on 9719 El Sol Court, Port Richey 34655. For many years, we called and asked to repair the potholes, and that is noted on the letter, and those fell on the deaf ears when we talked to Mr. Ansley Cardwell, and he says that's another department. And the neighbor, my next door neighbor, also called for many years, and you guys send us information that is true. We did keep calling you guys, and nothing was fixed. Then finally, in the end, we asked, how do we get help to get these holes filled? And we were directed to print this form from the website and mail in, and we did. And that's when this whole thing started. Nobody came to fill our holes, and then suddenly we get a bill. And then once we brought it to Mr. Cardwell's attention, and him saying, oh, I don't know that, and I didn't know that you guys were asking for it. And when we left the meeting, the next day, as Mr. Townsend said, somebody showed up, and also we got an email that we did requested these things. How come those were not fulfilled? Since 2018, repeatedly asked to come and protect us with these big holes, and you see the situation of the road, barely a dirt road now. You see it. I don't have to say anything.
It's horrible.
And once the 2 days that somebody came, I'm not saying that you guys did a great job, but you did fulfill some of the requirements. At least we can drive safely without running into a hole and our tires or getting ourselves dangerously getting out of our cul-de-sac. But I did mention all that, and I don't know, what did we do wrong in asking, or what did we do wrong by you guys ignoring us?
Well, we didn't ignore
And
it.
it showed up, somebody showed up afterward, and an email showed that we did request for many years, repeatedly. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you very much. And someone else wants to speak? Okay, Ainsley, I'm sorry, I was a little distracted here. This is one of the roads that we fixed with public money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner.
So, so you did a chip seal, which is a temporary road treatment.
The most recent is just pothole patch.
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, there's no road left here.
There's some road left, but it's not totally complete.
So,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah, do you mind?
Yeah, go
That's your
ahead.
thing. So the vote was what was it again, 1-1?
Yes, sir.
And we consider that,
As per the ordinance, I have to bring it to the board for its
No, I
consideration.
understand.
And
And again, how many people
There are
were sent letters to vote?
there are 4 properties on the
Four.
cul-de-sac.
All right. Listen, man, you know, what I've said forever, I mean, if people don't want it, they don't want it, but beware. I mean, beware. I mean, you can't fill these aren't potholes. This is,
There's
the
no road.
road's gone.
There's no
So
road.
the bottom line is you have a choice. Again, listen, we know if people are outnumbered, this is 50-50, so I'm kind of on the fence on this one, but if it's 51-49 against, typically I say, no, don't do it, because the majority spoke. Now you have an even situation. I know you brought a letter that's stating the other person voted the other way, so, okay, 4, okay, so I'll kind of take that in consideration. I'll say no, but just beware. You can't fix this unless you do a PVAS, because these aren't potholes anymore. Potholes are gone, so, I'm just being honest.
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen in a big rainstorm, is because we saw it on the roads in this area, which is why we took one-time money from the oil spill, I think, and did a temporary fix on these roads so that you could drive there. And I don't know how long you've lived there, but these roads were undrivable. And we have pictures somewhere to show you what's going to happen here. And when there's a lot of water, you will have no garbage pickup. I mean, it's like oatmeal. The road base just explodes. So I get real conflicted on these because it's taxpayer money that's coming in and fixing these, and I don't want to keep temporarily fixing these. That's throwing money out the window and a very poor use of the public money.
This one you can't.
You can't fix
it.
this.
So it's gonna.
This is not a
it'll-
pothole
It'll stay
situation.
that way. But if you guys are okay with that, I mean, that's what it is. I guess they're saying they're okay with it.
So there's two ways that we can fix roads, the funding way. It's the PVAS way, which I absolutely hate, or the way that's coming to us where everybody's going to pay something to fix all the roads in the county, but that we have to have a funding source to fix these roads. And we do not collect any money from your taxes right now to fix the roads, except for the second 5-cent gas tax does potholes, but these aren't potholes. So I don't know where the money comes to even fix this. It's frustrating to me. I just, so if we vote to get this road fixed, you at least get in line to have it fixed. But when we change the system, which I hope, when is that coming to us?
As you know,
Next year.
yeah, it'll probably be later this year. We've met with all the commissioners, and we're formulating a presentation.
Why would
to
it be
bring
next year if you're ready?
Well, to implement the.
Oh.
We're working on a
Yeah.
timetable.
So then you could be way at the end of the line to get that fixed, and you might have a travel issue getting to your home. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say, this definitely highlights the need to get off this PVAS system that we've got. It's going to be a little bit of while. I mean, maybe we should continue this for about 3 months until the other thing comes back to make a decision. Because if it comes in,
they're all
all of a
saying
sudden
no.
you get it set. Now, if we pass it, this can be one of the roads that obviously should get done.
So Ainsley, my road, one of the road, I have 2 houses in the county. One of them is kind of near this one. We petitioned to get our road into the PVAS system the last time it failed, and I'm talking about in Aristida. Our road's falling apart. We failed on the first one because people thought they could come in and do this temporary chip seal on the top and look great, but we figured out that we'd still be paying off the temporary fix when the road failed, and we'd have the other assessment on top of the temporary assessment. That didn't make any sense. So I didn't realize it, but someone has put in a new ask for a PVAS in January, and then we had Commissioner Cox came in and put one in March. But
Madam Chair.
I'm speaking. We're interested in getting our road fixed, and there's 126 projects up front of me. That's what they told me in your office. 124. That's what someone in your office said.
I'll check on that and get back to you.
Okay.
That number sounds a little bit high.
I was blown away about that number, but, okay.
Okay, thank you. So when Aristida was brought to the board, they originally wanted to have the chip seal, and then Michael Cox.
Why are we bringing that up now?
Because you were just addressing it. So I'm letting you know what had happened is I withdrew my motion because they wanted to update and make a new motion, and I had made a motion to do a full depth reclamation in Aristida.
Okay,
That's what
so
happened in that
I'm just telling
process.
you that if we don't go with this today, it may not be in your best interest. But Commissioner Mariano, did you want to say something?
Nothing more.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I mean, like, I don't know, I got 3, what was there, 3 letters? We said there's 4 people?
Yes,
And he was the fourth.
All right, so I got everybody except for one that says they don't want it, so, I mean, you
Well-
could continue it, or
But
we
here's
just
what
deny it.
I know this sounds kind of crazy, but here's what I'm wondering. If people don't want their road fixed, maybe we just don't go in there and fix it anymore. I mean, I just don't like throwing money out all the time. And if you fail a PVAS and you like the road the way it is,
Well,
that's your road.
yeah, well, Madam Chair, again, like you saw, you're not gonna be able
But
to.
they
do
don't want
anything
it
with that.
fixed.
That's what I mean, you're not gonna be able to
They
fill
don't
in
want to live
potholes.
with it like this.
Well, you can't have, man, you're in a tough situation.
That's what I'm hearing. They don't want to have their road fixed.
Yeah,
This is not a pothole situation.
yeah, you can't fill that in with
No.
pothole. So,
I would,
It's 1-1, so
Well, yeah. Wouldn't want the vote, but you got the people here who said, I'll make a motion to deny it.
or I would make a motion to continue for 3 months and let them decide what they would like.
Motion on the floor.
well, if we don't get a second, then we'll see where we go. Okay, it dies for lack of second.
I'll move to continue it for, I'll say, 4 months to give you time, and then we can at least take a look at it, and if we've gone through.
Fine, second.
And then
Yeah.
we pass a PVAS.
So
on
no
it.
action today. Okay, and that
All
gets you
opposed?
through the rainy season. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, well, good luck. I hope you have no issues on your road. Okay, where are we? Ainsley, you have another PVAS?
Yes, 2 more to go.
Okay.
This is PW 22-0081, and it's Holiday Drive from Bonita Road to Lang Road, PVAS number 3481. It's one street, it's county maintained, it's paved. The estimated cost is $74,160. Maximum cost for ERU is $2,782.74. Discounted amount is $11,290.16. And the maximum cost for ERU is $2,337.05. There are 29 possible votes, 6 responded, and that's about 21% of the petitioners, of the respondents. 4 were in favor, 2 were against, and that is 67% in favor and 33% against. Annual installation is over a 10-year period, and the interest rate is 3.25%. This is a location map, condition of the road. Staff is recommending approve. Oops. Can you-
Okay, is there anyone here against this PVAS?
I need to read pub.
All right, go ahead.
So item P7,
sorry.
that's okay. Item P78 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 13th, 2022. And I don't know if I read pub on P77, so that was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 13th, 2022. Now we're caught up.
Okay.
So I just want to say, I'm very familiar with this road. I drive down this road all the time because there's a problem child on this road. So it is not in good shape. But did you want to speak on this one?
I have one.
No, you cannot speak from there. If you're for it, you don't need to worry.
Okay, so,
Well, you don't have that opportunity.
yes, I do have one person signed up, and it might be this lady, which is Janice Cruz.
Okay.
It is a public hearing,
Yeah.
Madam
You are
Chair.
welcome to.
Don't say the wrong thing, you might talk us out of us now.
No,
I'm just
I'm not
teasing
going
with
to
you.
say the wrong.
I'm teasing with you.
I'm Janice Cruz. I live at 2042 Holiday Drive, Holiday, Florida, 34691. My husband, Orf Tex, and I enjoyed the presentation by Mr. Caldwell. I want to give him a kudo because he really was very informative, and we really enjoyed what he had to say. We want to thank all of you for considering repaving Holiday Drive. Right now, it is in very poor condition. And all of you, we hope, will vote for approval for this important improvement in our community, and I thank you.
Thank you for being for your road fixing. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this?
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. One more.
Final one.
All right. Item P79 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 13th, 2022.
This is PW number 22-0082, and it's Sunfish Drive, PVAS number 3476. One street is county maintained and it's paved. The estimated project cost is $124,000, and maximum cost for ERU is $3,712. The discounted amount is $21,784.77. Maximum cost for ERU after the discount is $3,025.09. There were 37 possible votes. We had 21 that responded, and that's 57%. There were 17 in favor, that's 81% were in favor, and 4 were against, which is 19%. The annual installation is over a 10-year period, and the interest rate is at 3.25%. This is a location map. It's off Saltwater Boulevard, and this is an example of the condition of the road. Oops, sorry. Keep on going forward. examine the condition of the road. Staff is recommending approve.
Would anyone here like to speak to this item?
Seeing no one, move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We are done. Do we have any Rs left?
You're
I
done.
believe you finished them.
Okay.
That was,
so
there
we
were
are
4 and
on
we did.
to
yes.
Commissioner's items. Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Can we start with Commissioner Moore?
Commissioner Mariano.
Well,
What?
You forgot to go this way. One,
Oh, I go
two,
that way?
3, 4.
Yes.
I don't know, we've done it like that for
I
8
was
years.
on cold medicine, but I've only taken
all right.
Advil.
I see.
Commissioner Moore,
You're not
we
taking,
might let you
you're not
speak.
taking the nighttime medicine, are you? When you go.
Maybe, you get to speak today.
Okay. First thing I'd like to do is make a motion to confirm the City of Newport Richey Councilman, actually Vice Mayor Mike Peters is a member of the TDC.
Oh, good.
He's our council's choice for that spot. Councilman Davis has since retired or not sought re-election, I guess, or maybe termed out. I don't know how it works over there. But motion to
I'll take a
confirm.
second.
Could you say it again? I'm sorry.
Making a motion to confirm the City of Newport Richey's appointment to the TDC, which is or Deputy Mayor Mike Peters. That was your choice. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
All right, I know you're not feeling good, so I'm going to try and I might skip something. Again, I know everybody on the dais was there at this event, but May 5th, we held the annual Florida Sports Coast Awards banquet at the Hyatt Place in Wesley Chapel. Sold out crowd, legit sellout, because we even had to turn people away the last minute for it, which was pretty awesome. That way, next year, the people got turned away, buy your tickets earlier. You'll get in. So thank you to all my fellow commissioners for attending. Dan, Kathy was there, Sally was there. If I'm missing anybody, that was there. Joanna was there. Ralph was there. Ralph, were you there? Yeah, you were there. That's right. Okay.
Andy was there.
Andy was there. But no, thanks to everybody that came that evening. It was a great event. Thaddeus Bullard, a.k.a. WWE superstar Titus O'Neil, did a great job at his speech. Photo on the screen. Just wanted to highlight for the people at home that weren't able to attend. I had the honor of presenting Senate President Wilton Simpson the Tourist Development Council Chairman's Choice Award for all that he's done for the state and Pasco County, being a great supporter of tourism, from agritourism, leading the charge to extend Visit Florida and more. I also want to thank Representative Randy Maggard for attending, and many other staff members from other people's offices. Adam Colby, the whole entire team of Florida Sports Coast did an amazing job. Andy did an awesome job of assisting as well. Thank you, Andy. And Ralph, you stepped up, and thank you for assisting us with a lot of those selling tables and tickets as well. So thank you to that. So again, congratulations to all the award winners, Senator Simpson, Lisa Moore of Hampton Inn, no relation to myself, Advent Health Center, Eyes, the Shops at Wiregrass, and Kathy Wendy Logman. Great event. Next year, I guess I'll be attending as a what do you call that? What is that called again? A civilian. I'll be a civilian attending next year. Sir, I'm sorry, we can't.
Chairman
speak from
Emeritus of the TDC, is that?
Yeah, there you go. I like Chairman Emeritus of the TDC.
You're gonna have to get your ticket early.
I think they'll have a spot for me. Last week, the Port Richey CRA Board voted to recommend removing another neighborhood from their CRA boundary. Great news. I know something we've worked on for a number of years, so I appreciate their current council and their current city manager for moving forward with that. It's working a lot better, so it's greatly appreciated. Final vote will be sometime next week, because they have a CRA board, and it's the same people on that CRA board as the city council. So I would assume they'll go ahead and vote yes again, since they voted yes already. Last thing, I did talk to Mr. Carbala about this a little bit earlier. Meadowpoint Boulevard, for any of you familiar with Meadowpoint Boulevard, you have Meadowpoint 1, 2, 3, 4, and now a number of other neighborhoods along Meadowpoint Boulevard. This board has approved quite a few new developments out there. There's been developments all dating back to the 90s that are now moving forward in that area. That connection is about to open from Hillsborough County, K-Bar, no, actually a real connection, K-Bar to Meadowpoint Boulevard. If you remember previously, there was 3 possible connections. We said no to the one on
Mansfield.
and Kenton. Mansfield and Kenton, but the one at Meadowpoint Boulevard, as well as the one off, is it Beardsley, I think? Yeah, Beardsley will be opening. If you've driven out there recently, it's stacking up. Traffic is really, really bad for those residents. We've had it in the plans to widen Meadowpoint Boulevard. Now's really the time we need to move forward with that because of all the new development. I was made aware of another development. It won't come in front of us. It's going to be on a staff level because it already has the zoning. And that's opening soon as well. I don't remember how many homes there are there. It's another one of the rental home communities. You have, gosh, I'm trying to remember all the new neighborhoods out along there. What's the one where the charter school is? Metro owns it. No, that's not Avalon Park. That's 54. Union Park. A number of other neighborhoods out there. Plus, recently, if you remember past November, they came out here and talked about, with the applicant, spoke about some commercial as well as the multifamily they're already allowed to have. They actually scaled that down, but they're actually adding more commercial as well as single family. So bottom line is, I've been getting a number of calls asking, my office has, asking when this is going to happen. So I would love to see that move forward sooner than later. So Mr. Kabbalah, what do we know?
So it is currently in the LRTP.
Right.
It is about probably 10 to 15 years out based on that current plan. So obviously we need to drop back and take a look at that between traffic operations and planning. I can tell you that we do have some operational improvements. Namely, there's a northbound left turn lane on the southern segment between County Line and 56 that is being looked at to alleviate some of those longer backups at the peak morning traffic hours.
Yeah.
Again, the opening of some of the additional parallel facilities from the southern portions of Hillsborough County would help alleviate that thoroughfare if once that's open. But these are, we will look into this and report back on that with a plan.
Yeah, going back again, 15, 20 years ago, nobody here knew how fast that area was going to grow. Obviously, I get it. But this is one of those instances where we talk about, kind of trying to get the infrastructure in before all the development comes. It doesn't always happen that way. So now we're behind, way behind. And if you ever go out there, and I've driven it on many occasions, it's getting pretty bad. Plus you have parks, you have schools along that area, on Meadowpoint Boulevard as well. They're feeling the pain.
Well, as in all road projects, when we try and move one in front of another, it impacts other things, so we just need to look at it in totality.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Just to kind of touch on, as much as, growth was going to come from the south going north, and Hillsborough County wanted to protect themselves up and down where they didn't get high growth, and what that led to was a very poor interconnection of traffic. They didn't care about what we were doing. That's why 54 has been so dominated by traffic from the counties below us as well as us. I said for years ago, I'll say it again, County Line Road to the north is something we really need to take a look at. So delighted that our state legislator put it up there to get it funded. Hopefully the governor signs it because that'll be tremendous for Hernando and ourselves. But we're going to need to take a look at what we're doing up there as well, because that growth issue that is on the flip side of one is going to hit us 20 years down the road and on the other side too. So it's something that all the way from County Line, from, let's say, US 19, all the way across, all the way to at least 41, maybe going past all the way to 75, we need to take a close look at that, how we want that developed. And I'm talking about just about a half a mile down, but to mirror whatever Hernando's going to do, we want to be able to do on the south side. Otherwise, they get all the jobs, and we get nothing on the other side of it. And we don't want to be on that position.
And to jump on that bandwagon, I would say Trinity Boulevard. We have only 2 exits from West Pasco into Pinellas County. We have US 19 and Trinity Boulevard that goes into East Lake, and it's frequently a 6-light cycle for people to get through that intersection. So we have these pressure points that we need to look at. And again, that light is in another county.
Right. Right.
So, something that we have to work on together, but
Yeah.
it's a problem when we don't, this is why I'm such a proponent of connectivity, and if we had Mansfield open, you wouldn't have that problem over there.
Yes, you would, because they don't go anywhere.
Well, I don't know those roads, but
There's nowhere to go for the, you gotta understand, that would just be going to another neighborhood.
well,
They don't, that's
it's
not.
it's poorly designed.
Yeah,
They should
yeah.
have had some kind of grid system.
Yeah.
We should have worked with Hillsborough to have connections between the two,
Yeah.
and not put schools the way we did right on that road. I mean, it was kind of a formula.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it now because it's already done. Those DRAs and PUDs were approved many, many, many years ago. Now we're at this stage. And forget, you can just take out the Hillsborough connection. I mean, that's actually kind of my least concern, to be honest with you, because it's Pasco County's development that's going along Meadowpoint Boulevard. I mean, that's where the majority of the development is, along there. Yes, we know there's going to be cars coming from Hillsborough, but the majority of them are going to be our current residents that traverse up Meadowpoint Boulevard. So I just think we need to look closer at it. Again, we can bring it up and have discussion at the MPO. What I like to do is we'll get a count. We'll work with staff and the team members. We'll get a count of currently how many homes are in that area, how many multifamily apartment complexes, townhomes, the whole 9 yards, as well as what's in the works, and bring that back to let you guys know how many people are using that 2-lane road.
Yeah, so I guess you would use transportation impact fees from that zone to fix roads in that area, so.
Correct. And they're coming in because
Yeah,
they're building like
So you
crazy.
got to take from something else. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what else is out there. So there's really, when you think about that, in the,
City, Epperson.
well, that's pretty
What's all
far
that
away.
zone?
That's pretty far away.
Well, they're divided lines.
Yeah.
I believe that's the
It's not even the same district.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah, they are.
No, I'm in District 2. It's not
east
District 2.
zone.
But it's not in the same commission district, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm not, I'm talking about impact, transportation impact fee,
Yeah.
which is where you get the money to fix
Well, you also have to look at what came first, and Meadowpoint and all these things were there before the other ones. So they take care of the people that have been there the
One
longest.
of y'all answer him.
It's in the east zone.
Yeah, so you use the transportation impact fee money in the east zone to fix problems like that.
Correct, that is
Yeah,
for
so that's your
capacity-related
kitty.
projects.
You can't take from our impact fee money to fix your zone. So, maybe
Well, I
you don't-
could. I'll just get the votes to do it.
Ain't happening.
Yeah, you can only really take from Commissioner For's district.
Yeah, you
Because
can't jump over
it's
to
the
ours.
adjacent,
Over
it's
adjacent.
it's the adjacent district.
To be clear, Commissioner, there is a limited amount of mobility fees you can take from other districts, but it's very limited.
Yeah.
Now, however, the second local option gas tax can be spent countywide, and that is also used for.
That's our pothole money.
No, that's first local option.
Oh.
The second local option is for capacity improvements.
Anyways, we'll bring it back. We'll look into it. I'll work with the team. We'll bring back some numbers for you.
So you can take from one of your other projects and move it over to that.
I don't know any projects going on over there. but-
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Okay, I don't know what's coming up first,
We'll
so
take from Starkey Range.
I will mention,
Can't. I'm insulated from your grubby hands. You gotta take from Fitzpatrick and Mariano in the middle.
excuse me?
Take from County Line Road that he just brought up. No, I'm just kidding.
So I attended several events over the past couple weeks. One was the Law Enforcement Memorial Service 2 Fridays ago. So I would like to say to remember to honor all of our law enforcement officers and to thank them for all the work that they do every day. And I spoke quickly, but as you show in the photos. Next, I did attend the tourism banquet as well. And I would like to congratulate Senator Wilton Simpson for the Chairman Choice Award. And I would also like to discuss and mention Thaddeus Bullard was the keynote speaker. I found it very informative, especially since the next 2 topics I'm going to speak about. He had told everyone to take out their phone, and whether you do it now or you do it later today, take out your phone and text someone, "I believe in you." And I think it's a really powerful message because you never know what seed you're going to plant. So next, there should be one more photo maybe. I also, after the Law Enforcement Memorial Service that day, I attended the REACH Housing Affordable and Resiliency Conference in St. Pete. And I feel it's really important that we are continuing to address our senior, homeless, and workforce population to make sure that they have affordable housing and housing in the area. I know one of the topics that was brought up was inclusionary ordinance. And then lastly, I also did attend last Friday, the Pasco Housing Authority Community Collaborative Meeting. Last two topics that I would like to just put out there so people can start thinking about. I would like to continue to work with the school district on opening parks before and after school. So just to put it out there so others can start looking or helping push that forward. I think it would be really important if we can start at opening the playgrounds at the schools after school and on weekends, especially with the summer coming up. It will help get our students and our children off their video games all the time, and maybe their parents can go with them to the playgrounds, or it will give them another opportunity to go and get out of the house and not be playing on electronics. And lastly, I know stations 2 and 4, we have the funding for stations 2 and 4, and they're looking to be on the budget next year, but if we already have the funding for 2 and 4, I would consider pushing them up to be on the budget this upcoming year. And then we can work on how we're going to fund the staff. Thank you.
Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you. I do have a few items. One of them come up today when Dr. Blanco come up forward, and he made the mention of we should look at changing the rule of having residential requirements on EC property. So I think makes a lot of sense. We found out that our multifamily for apartments, we're good for the next 10 years anyway. There's enough traffic up and down 19. I think we need to shift gears and take all the EC properties and allow them not to have residential if they so choose. Anyone agree with that?
I don't disagree. Yeah.
I think I would want planning staff to weigh in, but my recollection of the reason why we were doing that was so people could live, work, and play right, just like, what's that place that's down there in Pinellas County by the airport with all the businesses and the residential that you went? I didn't get to go on that trip. I wish I had, but Jabel's right by there.
Carolyn? No.
Well, yeah, it's
By there.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
So that's an example of where you have an employment center and residential all together, and so people can just live there and work there. So I think it's a good planning thing to be able to have that kind of opportunity.
And the ideal is good for that. However, if you have a large person that wants to come in and they don't want to have residential, they want to have all employment center, why would I want to discourage that? Keeping the option there is good. But if I've got someone, especially at this point right now, we've got to create, 150,000 jobs in the next 20 years? Then let's let them decide if they want to have the residential component or not. Not make it mandatory. Give them the flexibility so it's there, but don't make it mandatory that they have to have it. That's the change I want to make.
So let me ask, so we don't have any planners, well, okay, we have one here, but not the head guy. So I'm thinking about North Point, where Mettler, Toledo, and Touch Point and all came in, and they had to come in and get a change to put those are those apartments or condos there? So
yes.
Why did they have to go through that? Because they wanted that there and others are required to?
The employment center as a land use and the employment center as MPUD are both the only portion, I believe, that we have that actually contains a minimum of each of the different types of uses as well as the maximum. So they were either under one of those or over one of those, and that's why they had to make those changes. But that is something I'll make sure that I'll pass this on to Terry, our director, Terry Pitos, and maybe at the next Planning Commission meeting, we can have an agenda item to discuss this briefly and discuss it further in more detail when he's available, and we can see how you would like us to.
Because we wouldn't want to lose a big employment opportunity because there's not enough space because they're required to have multifamily.
Right, and we've generally supported comprehensive plan amendments to something like an industrial land use in those situations where you can remove the EC land use from it. It's just a time consumption issue, and if they're wanting to move quickly, that's the problem.
Madam Chair, I mean, I'll let the county attorney weigh in. I think, if I'm not correct, Commissioner, that's what he's stating. We don't want to have to go, we don't put you through that process. We don't want to put the applicant through that process.
Correct.
What can we do as a board to change that policy now?
In High Point, would think when they came in, they wanted more residential to come in to make it offset so they could actually sell the property and still make the deal work. So they went the other way and actually put more residential than more commercial.
Yeah.
And
Well, I wanted Mr. Stein's letter if we
So,
could.
so to answer your question, what you have to do is change the EC requirements in the comp plan or the land development code wherever they reside, and they may be in both.
Yes, it's in both. There's the
Yeah.
EC in the comp plan would need to be changed, and then that requires a EC MPUD in the land development code that would need to be changed.
So you would have to direct staff to process those amendments.
And I also think we should be taking into consideration all of the new multifamily units that are already on 54. Instead of having to add new multifamily in an employment center on 54, we should take into consideration all the multifamily that surrounds it within a square mile radius or square radius.
Well,
I don't
kind of,
disagree. That's why you guys shouldn't be approving all of it.
building
Stuff you
on what
approve.
she's saying, it would be
Keep
really
saying it.
good if we did our planning so that, say, Dr. Blanco's property comes in, that people who want to access working there don't have to come down to 54 and go back up, that they should be connecting to, Bexley or whatever's over there, and be avoiding getting out on 54. We're going to really shoot ourselves in the foot if we use 54 and 52 for everybody to get out of their neighborhood and to the grocery store. It'll be eventually a parking lot. We have to have alternative roads to use.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion for staff to look at an item to bring back to us to change the land development code, local zoning ordinances to go forward to remove.
Comprehensive plan and.
Comprehensive plan, thank you.
Second.
To remove it and bring it back to us as quick as possible.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I was waiting for you to call it.
Madam Chair, just to be clear, North Point was not an EC land use.
Okay,
It was just a normal MPUD.
okay. Because they had to come in and change some things.
It was approved way before we had EC as a land use.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I've got a few things.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Estuary Program is going to be meeting next Friday. And one of the things, Mike, they had mentioned was about reclaimed water. I didn't want to bring the conversation up today because I knew we were going to be pressed to finish what we had to get done in the morning. But do you have any idea what they're going to do as far as like asking us to treat our reclaimed water more at this point?
Short answer is no.
Okay.
I think that is a voluntary thing
Okay.
with the estuary committee. I mean, there was a consortium on nitrogen, as I recall, but we currently meet our permitted standards for secondary for reuse, and that's where we're planning to stay for now.
Okay, I'll find out more if they're going to go further. I just thought you might know or might have heard. When we had the fertilizer ordinance, we were also talking about how the nutrients get into the waterways. And I'm wondering what the board thoughts are for those that live on canals, those that live on the waterways that go out to the Gulf. Do we want to look at maybe some, to have our group go out and take a look and kind of advise people, maybe they should be holding on to their grass instead of letting it, kind of go into the canals by blowing it in as you're mowing the grass back and forth. Same thing with trying to caution golf courses or other properties along there to make sure we kind of minimize the amount of grass that gets in our waterways. Anyone have any thoughts to that, or? I'll move along. Do you have the picture of the city of Tampa? The map is fine. So Colleen, my assistant, and I went down with some staff folks, Sammy Huey and Alan Biddlecombe, and we took a look in the city of Tampa, all the baffle boxes they had done. And they've actually started these 20-some-odd years ago, and they showed us what some of the older ones, the newer ones, and how they had gone through and done it. And I think it's something that's going to be coming up strong every time I'm talking about these environmental conferences. Right now, they're bringing it up. These are the areas they're right across from the convention center, going across. There's a park that's there, and they've got these facilities that take all the water well before it goes into the Gulfway, holds onto it. They take the sediments out, and they also collect the trash. Certain neighborhood areas, this is a lower income area where all the water coming down, actually there's not lower income here, but it takes the water from all the way down those streets, and like at Neptune, you see those in Estrella, it captures all the debris before it gets down to the waterway. Next picture. And then that kind of shows you there's an overview of a couple more that are out there. Give another picture or two. Actually, that last shot you just had. There's a picture of how they actually work at it. Into these covers that are there, they can lift them up, go through it, protect it. There's some monitoring devices about how much sediment they're taking out. That's right at the park. Keep going. This is when they lift the cover up. They take a vac truck that goes in there. They suck all the debris out, take all the trash from the screens that are out there. So the water that gets released is done out, and they haul the trash away. It's a lot easier to take it out beforehand. That's how it can get cleaned thereafter. So this was probably done just about a month ago, and just starting to build up. Go ahead. That's how the leaves can even just go in. In fact, that actually comes right by the Little League Park we just saw in Estrella, where the leaves are going in there, and we actually said, maybe you should get a program to collect all the leaves before they even hit that, but they're working on that.
And maybe putting some screen that goes up 2 feet on a fence so it doesn't go past the screen, just like on the Ridge Road extension,
Yeah.
to block the animals.
So there's a couple that were along the roadway. Go ahead.
Wow, they have a lot of potholes, manholes right in a row right there.
Just because they're collecting all the trash as it goes down. Look at all the trash that goes in there. And they get that before it hits the waterways now.
Love that.
Are they usually a set of 3, or is it?
Usually it's 3, yes.
Okay.
And you can see this first sediment box collects the most, and it gets minimized after that. Keep going. And this one here I really like. This is going into, see the waterway that's right there? So the runoff from coming up the street comes all the way down, and if it doesn't get collected from the rocks and everything right there, it'll wait. There's a seawall that goes up there just a little bit, and then it gets treated again before it releases out there. If a big storm surge comes in, it's going to come in, but to that level, which is pretty much takes care of it, they're actually in great shape. They're holding the water back and then treating it before it releases back in. So I want to commend them. They've done a phenomenal job for 20 years, improving their water quality as well as improving the safety of all the people to actually reduce flooding from all the stuff they're doing.
And their waters, I'm sure, are much cleaner and clearer.
Much cleaner. I mean, they're making some great progress. If you saw one of the pictures on the map, on the east side of the Tampa Bay, there's the one side in the middle of I think it's the Gandy Bridge. In that right side of the map, the eastern side of the map, where they have these baffle boxes, that water quality is great. When they go the other side, the St. Pete side, there's no baffle boxes there that we saw. Water quality is losing more than any place in the area. So
I did a checkout. Well, I tried to do it when I was getting my dive permit, or whatever you call it. We went and dove along Gandy. This was 30 years ago. Oh, it was so dangerous. They pulled us out of there because you couldn't see the person in front of you, and we were just all beginning divers. So they said that the conditions were too bad and too dangerous. So
yeah, I'll tell you, when they did remember the big wakeboard open they had about 10 years ago when they first going through the park? They ran it down in the bay in front of the convention center. Just watching the water as brown as it was going through, those skiers, you talk to them later on, they couldn't wait to get out of that portion.
Yeah.
And get back up to Sun West where it was much cleaner. Okay. So just to say, that's what they're doing there. They have this nice thing, which is maybe something, Mike, we can cooperate. Blowing leaves into the street, grass as well, is illegal and you're a tick in the city of Tampa. That's probably a good thing to pass out to Kona, ship it along the way, just so people know that you don't want to clog up all your drains. And this is just kind of one of the things they say. So just an opportunity to take a look at it. And this is what they do is they just promote it, get it out there, and I think it helps them. Okay, now I was at a place on my birthday, my wife took me up to the Weeki Wachee Rogers Park, a place called the Upper Deck. She had been up there probably 3 weeks before with some friends that were doing some kayaking. So there's a picture of the sign of the entrance of the park.
It used to
Take
be
a look.
filthy.
Yeah, so take a look at this right here. As you look at the steps that are right there, this is kind of what I showed you about pictures of Switzerland. Talking about Hudson Beach, if we took a seawall, stepped it down where people could get into, they've done it here. If you look on the other side, see the seawall on the backside, the sand that's over there? That's their beach area. Now, my wife said years ago when she took the kids up, it was all a sand area that was kind of went into the canal. And what did they do? They put the seawall up, and they'll show you a picture in a minute. It steps down a little bit to make it safer, and now it holds all the sand from going into the canal, and you could create a swimming area. The steps going down, they put even bags down the end, but here it is. We can walk right into the water and go. Keep going. There's an area where people can kind of put their feet, sit there, or even sit on the edge of that and go into the water. And it's a great swimming area, which we can do. We can mirror this, frankly, at Hudson Beach, just like we talked about. They only did this a few years ago.
Right.
So we're going to go pull the permits, find out how they did it, how they applied, et cetera, take a look at it. But we could have a great area in front of Hudson Beach instead of on the side canal where you have all the fishermen and all the E. coli, et cetera. This would be great Gulf access directly in.
Oh, yeah, he does it.
You can wall it off just like them. Keep going. Kind of nice and easy seawall, and then you got the drop down. Go ahead. They do a nice thing too, which I think we should take a look at. They got a big recycle container there too. I think we should take a look at having that, something like that in all the parks as well, to kind of collect the recycles right here. You know, hearing a study about the burners that we have coming in, when burner 4 comes in, as much as we're going to be burning our trash as we try to time it, we're still going to be at capacity. So we need to get the recycles out of the line. This park right in here is a little setup. It's not a splash pad, but just a nice little park for the little area for the kids to play. Keep going. This is where you can pull up in the parking lot. If you have a kayak launch and you want to take your kayaks out, you can slide them right in there. If you got a little boat, you can put a little boat on there too. Made it nice and easy. I think we just do probably kayaks at Hudson, but here's a nice little walkway. So if somebody's even in a wheelchair, they want to get down to the water, they get a shot to get down there because it's only a couple of feet deep in that area, and obviously you control it. You can make it work well. Keep going. That's the last one? Okay. So just to say that as you seek forward, I'm going to be working with Keith and coming back with something again to take a look at what they did there and make that project take a better look. Next thing I've got, the Links Golf Course, those you know, closed several years ago. We cited them before we had a new ordinance in place. We've cited them since the old ordinance. They were going to contest it because we filed a determination from our zoning administrator saying that we found them in noncompliance with the development agreement, which it said there's like 7 or 8 parcels that have to be a golf course until it comes back for a public hearing. They've got pine trees literally 30 feet away from residences, property lines, which to me, as those trees get taller, you saw the pictures today where the pine trees can get burned pretty easy, and those can get to homes and can transfer over. So I don't know if we should be waiting for these guys to keep stalling to go forward, because right now they're coming with Mpd, which they're trying to put all the homes they can right into existing area that's already zoned for residential for with smaller lots, and then using the golf course that's out there that already has drainage in place to use that drainage and other drainage when this golf course was designed around homes where it actually takes a lot of drainage. So I'm going to work on staff a little bit more, but if you hear any more about it. Last thing before we talk about Leisure Beach. I think we all heard about this, but I think the need to do this right now is probably more important than ever, at least consider it. There's a property tax benefits for persons 65 or older that we could actually adopt. You've got to be low income, below a threshold. You've got a house that's got to be under $250,000.
Good luck on that one.
Well, well, yeah, I know it's going to change a lot, but think about the smaller homes that may be under that point, and the income people where, if you got a retiree that's only been making 10 grand a year, 20, 15 grand a year, whatever, all of a sudden this year alone, our CPI has gone up 8.5%. That's a pay cut for every one of those seniors.
I just don't think we have any houses under 250.
When all of the seniors purchased their homes 30 years ago, they were only $60,000 or less. So, and if they can only increase so much every year on their property taxes, or the assessed value can only increase so much, then this will help them to keep their taxes low.
Yeah, and if all the other costs that the seniors are facing, because, yeah, granted, you look at the cost of a lot of different things, but if the CPI has gone up 8.5%, that's been quite a kick for our seniors. if you want to try to help them stay in their homes, we could give them a break going this way here. And as you say, Commissioner Starkey, most of the homes are over 250, but the ones that aren't, that are lower income, they're the ones who probably need the most help as well. So I think we should maybe take a look at it, maybe have staff bring us back what a cost analysis would be before the next, before the budget's actually gone through for the next step. That sound like we should take a look?
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Mr. Steinsteiner may be able to answer this. If not, Ralph, you're probably a better fit, besides most people. There's a number of exemptions already, and there's some for seniors. I thought there was on the BAS recently. Am I incorrect?
Well, there are multiple homestead-type exemptions that have been passed over the last 10 years,
Yeah.
some of which require the board to adopt an ordinance to implement. Some were self-executing. I believe the firefighter, the one that was passed this session was
Right.
self-executing.
Right.
My recollection is that the one that was available for senior citizens, this board never implemented.
Okay.
But that was because generally you've got only so much general ad valorem taxes. But that would be a question for OMB, what the impact would be if you implemented one.
And like I say,
I just want to make sure we keep track of them all, you know what I mean?
Oh, and
So
believe me,
there's so many out
it's a
there
big
now.
one. No, it's a big one, and let's face it, we keep our tax, I think, better down than most. No question in my mind. But I'm just looking at the situation right now with the housing crisis that's out there. We just approved a place for affordable housing coming up. I think it's worth taking a look and see what the numbers are, because if it helps keeps the seniors in their homes that are just had their effective disposable income crushed another 10% because of all the other increases that are out there they have to pay, it may be worth taking a look at. So if the board's okay, let's have staff bring something back to us as we go through this budget process to find out what the impact would be if we did it.
And frankly, we have the PVAS changes come, that may help them.
Right.
But may make us put it higher on other people.
Well, yeah.
So that's the only thing is, when we do that, the costs get borne by everyone else. So that's what you have to be careful about.
Yep, Madam Chair. Again, I'm not saying for or against anything, but again, just beware of, we're going through the budget process. Personally, I think there might have been something to look at a little bit in the past, but I understand things are changing on a day-to-day basis, like you mentioned before. But, we have a lot of needs out there right now. We have, the firefighters that are asking for more. We have, and we're talking about the growth, and then the sheriff's office needs additional thing. I have got ACAs over here that obviously have certain needs as well. And since you did mention, we keep ours lower than most of the surrounding counties, obviously a lot lower than Hillsborough and Pinellas. And if you're within some of those cities, you're going to be paying a lot more. And then you have to also take a look at who uses resources, right? So who's going to use fire rescue? Let's just be honest.
Ambulances.
And ambulances more than others. You're going to have a certain population that's going to be more apt to have to use those resources. So, I'm bringing up, looking at new development to have to pay more for fire rescue, and the sheriff's office, and Mr. Steiner's going to bring something back to see if we can even do it, if it's even legal at our budget meeting in the future. So trying to look at different avenues. I just don't want to get to a point where if we lose a big source of revenues, those resources depleted, we're not able to offer the service level to the extent those individuals actually need. You follow me? Mm-hmm. I just don't want that to happen. So, because if the ambulance isn't, or they can't get to the call, those people are going to be in worse shape.
Yes, we have funds that help for we have funds that help with the PVAS program for citizens that can't afford it, but could we allocate any kind of CDBG funds or anything for our seniors or any additional funding specifically for seniors that are having a hardship so they don't become homeless due to the increase in taxes and their property value, their taxes and their homeowner's insurance?
Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator, Public Services. We do have a program for seniors, and if they do qualify, they just need to fill out an application through the Community Development Program. So,
And that's for taxes and homeowners insurance?
not homeowners insurance, just taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And we have the water, we can help with the water payment and others, yeah.
Okay, last subject, Kelly Funk is still here. Maybe we can have Kelly talk about the homeless situation, what she just saw, and what she thinks.
We're under 998 square feet, not one piece of grass or anything.
Good afternoon. Kelly Funk with County Administration. And we want me to talk about what we saw up in,
Yeah, just talk about, I mean, we had to cut you short a little bit for the presentation we had, so.
Yeah,
I mean, what
so-
you're doing is great work, so I want to have
Thank
a
you.
chance to talk.
I appreciate that, Commissioner. We have been really blessed to have a great team together on the West Market Action Committee that's facing a lot of these complaints and issues that are coming from your staff primarily as soon as you get a call that comes in for a code enforcement or a homeless camp. We've been working with trying to get all the disconnects that are involved with that. Like I was mentioning earlier, there are several different departments that are involved in cleaning up just one dump site. And aside from the trash and junk, it's wrapping around services to the people who are living there as well. And then hopefully finding those who wish to have a home or employment, getting them to where they need to be. The disconnect really comes from those who don't want services. And what we're finding is obstacles on how and challenges on how to deal with those. So I look to you for hopefully some guidance. Again, we do have a great action committee that's putting together formulating some thought. I'm very, very impressed with the way that everybody is really reacting to this situation. I know that when Tricia Shade went out and took a look at it, it was her first experience in dealing with a homeless camp. So I think we may just take the entire group there to get a little bit more of an awakening. Commissioner Starkey and I have been working on this for numerous years in the Holiday area. But again, my eyes were completely opened when we took our tour to just a different type of homelessness that's happening. What we found is that the majority of everybody who's complaining has one thing in common, which is it's generally an absent landlord who owns the property. And we're having issues with trying to trespass them. The agreements are expiring within 1 year. It's very difficult to keep track of that. It's time-consuming and paperwork involved. And I know the Sheriff's Office is doing the best that they can. But for numerous years, again, as Commissioner Starkey brought up earlier today about the rental registry, that is sort of why we started that back in 2016, was remotely, primarily because of residential absentee landlords. But it's falling over into our commercial, and now it's really becoming an extreme problem on US 19.
Yeah. And I'll say, Sally, your team's doing a phenomenal job out there working on these things. There's a building that was in the picture just south of Tower Drive. It used to be the old Aaron's Furniture. It's still owned by Aaron. The population of homes is behind there. They're actually using their property edges to actually do different things out there, as Harry was saying from the Wraps place. If you can maybe talk to them, cite them, or get them to maybe protect their property, because it is the throughway for which, a lot of the backside of Leisure Beach travels.
Commissioner, thank you. Based on your conversation this morning, I've already notified staff and they're looking into it.
Thank you very much.
What we did on that property behind the Walgreens or CVS and Trouble Creek, which is your district, I guess, we sent a letter to the landowner, and he didn't respond to clean it up. And so we physically went to his house in Palm Harbor, and we cited him for operating a camping site without a permit. And it really got his attention, and he cleaned it up. He didn't finish cleaning it up, and someone moved into the part that he didn't clean up. And what's frustrating is he had the no trespassing sign and the agreement, but it was our code enforcement who had to take the action. And maybe that's just what we have to do.
I think so.
And I think I mentioned, that was an FGUA well site, and they had to shut the well down for fecal content.
a
And
real
so
deal.
people around there lost their, God knows what they were drinking for a while, so, until they tested it.
Yeah, yeah. My district actually stops at Marine Parkway, so a little north of that. But I will say, Attorney Jeff Steinschneider did a great job, I think, showing us the different success things they've had, and that camping was one of them. So I think our code team has a lot to work with to go put the hammer, but I think it's going to be, frankly, we need to make sure we've got to simplify it. I don't think we need to renew a trespass agreement every year. Maybe we can set a meeting up and try to work that situation out. If we can't write it ourselves, if we just have that in place, it's a tool we can use to cite all these different violations that our code team can go. And we can put the resources to code to shift some of the responsibilities to go focus on this. I mean, do we know any idea how much, like, the mental illness, the drugs are costing us to run these things?
I'll tell you, we've been asked that question numerous times, and that's one of the things that we're going to start looking into now, is trying to find some cost analysis of the repetitive, not only is it recidivism, is it this, what is the problem of the same people going back and forth, and then the total cost, not only in and out of the jail, in and out of the mental, with the fire rescue, on the sheriff's end. Is it cheaper to house somebody? I mean, that's what we're trying to find out, some numbers right now for you all.
All right. Well, I appreciate all the great work you're doing. I know this is not the only thing you're doing, but again, the presentation was great. I thought we should bring it back up, so thanks for hanging out for the day for us.
Thank you, I appreciate you all.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I know we had this discussion last year when we were in Dade City on if we can extend the life of form.
It's the sheriff's,
The
sheriff's, not us. So
Well,
he has to.
Alex Alt was here last time. I don't know if he's still here today, but we had this conversation, so I would just like to have an update from him next time.
Well, Kelly's got this wonderful committee, and Alex is on it, and I hope that's a discussion for your committee and all of us to see if we can move that to
Absolutely.
a different solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll bring it to their attention and see
Yeah.
if we can get you some numbers for next quarter.
Okay. All right, Jack, you done?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, County Administrator. Oh, you.
Me.
You.
All right, I do have
You going last?
an update. Do we do Jeff?
Nope.
Want to do Jeff?
What's the order? Am I
It's-
out of order?
A little.
I thought
But we'll
you
do
went-
Jeff first.
I do, just do me last.
But you want to go late?
Yes, ma'am.
Later. Okay, Jeff?
Um,
I threw away my script.
That's
The-
okay, I'll help you.
During the public hearings this afternoon, Ms. Wilhite referenced the issues with conflict zoning, and I tend to agree with her. In fact, I agreed with her when I became county attorney. I'm not sure I agree with the proposed fix that she threw out today, which was that it needs to be done during the comp plan updates. The issue is that in 1989, 90, when the comprehensive plan was adopted and the future land use classifications were changed, it created conflict zoning. In fact, most jurisdictions addressed that conflict zoning in a one-time countywide rezoning shortly after they adopted their land, or with their land development regulations. Administration at the time decided that they wished to proceed, or the board, I don't know which, they decided to proceed that they would identify the conflict zoning when the developer tried to, or the homeowner, or whoever, the property owner, wanted to do something with their property. So my recommendation, if this is a concern for the board, is that we do conformance zoning like we should have done back in the early 90s. I thought it was going to be done when Chapter 500 was revised a couple of years ago. I realize the planning department is busy, but at some point we're going to have to address that issue because you have situations like occurred with Mr. Dempsey today.
Yep. Anything else?
That's it.
For me? Yep. Okay, just an update on the jail transition with getting an external auditing firm to help us with the transition. I believe that we have completed our comprehensive list as of last week. There's very many items on the list now that we feel that we've identified everything that we can in regards to the transition. However, there are unknowns within those items that we need some further detail as we get into it. Now the list is so large, what we're going to do is start to pare it down this week, talking with the county about that. We have my Inspector General has a jail tour tomorrow, to look at assets and things like that to figure out what's going to stay, what's going to go, and to get a better understanding of things. And that'll help us to pare down the list. Right now, the list is so large that it would not fit within the limits of what the board has approved to fund an external auditor to come and do what I'm going to call a transition accounting. It's not really an audit, it's more of accounting of everything that the county is going to receive. And hopefully that will get done this week. We'll work with the county's project manager on this project, as well as the sheriff's point of contact for us. So hopefully by the end of the week, our goal is to have the list pared down to then submit it out to 3 firms to get a quote back, which would be in line with the $150,000 that was approved by the board earlier. Okay, that's my update. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
What do you think about the timeline to get this done?
That's another reason to pare down the list. What we're looking at is keeping the things on the list that are essential, and those that are non-essential that can be done with the county and the jail working together to get the information to help, 1, minimize the cost of the transition accounting, and 2, allow it to occur within the time frame that it needs to. It is a very tight time frame. There is a lot of stuff right now that's on the list. Once I get a finalized list, I'll have a better feel for how long, but right now, if we were to do the things on the list, there's no way it can get done in time.
Okay, is our staff and you, are we all working together?
Yes, very well. Okay. Yep, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll go next, and then we'll let Dan go. Commissioner, I wanted to talk to you about the schools issue. So that was one of the things I ran on when I ran for school board, and I tried and tried and tried to get the school district to get rid of the fences. And the way it works at Pasco County Schools is they give the map of the school when they're building a new school to the principal, and they say, where do you want your fences? And they have carte blanche to wrap up the schools and keep the public out. And it's, I grew up playing on school grass, after school and in the summers, flag football, whatever. And I would take pictures all through Florida and all through the country of other school districts who don't do that. And a great example of schools that don't do that here in Pasco County, and I think the community would have a fit, are the ones in Dade City. They are not fenced. So the school feels that it keeps the school protected from vandalism. I went to a National School Board Association meeting and went to a seminar on school safety. This was after the Columbine shootings. And their national experts said, those fences, all those fences do is keep good people in. And because someone who's going to vandalize the school isn't going to be stopped by a 4-foot or 6-foot chain link fence. But one of the tenets of a community like, say, like Longleaf, where we put a school in the middle of it and couldn't get the fence removed, is that when there are more people walking around and when there are more people with eyes on something, it's safer. If no one's there, no one's seeing what the bad actors are doing. So there are ways to keep schools safe. There's no reason for someone to be walking the halls of a school in the summer, but certainly the green space, which is taxpayer funded, should be open. So and Dave and I have worked on this forever and ever and ever, and I do believe we have 3 schools the way the school district did it, if I recall, is that they put it out there to the principals, and the principals in the county had the opportunity to decide if they wanted to be a park and work with us. And I have no idea how that's going. The idea is that when school is out, it's similar to what we did at Starkey K-8, so we do have that one. When school is out, the county takes over the green space, and it acts and functions as a county park, and we take on the liability. And when school starts, then it's the school district's liability. So I'm very frustrated by the lack of action on the school district. So, yes?
Follow up, please. Yes, okay, so Longleaf, there's supposed to be 3 schools or 4 schools that are in agreement and opening after school and on weekends. They are Longleaf, Schrader, and Meadowpoint Middle School, and I believe there is a 4th school.
It's one by Kelly. I don't remember the name of that one by you. That's supposed to be open as well.
And after speaking at a meeting, Ray Gadd did say he was in agreement and he would push to move forward with this, which I would be really excited. And if we could even, I don't know how long it would take, but if we could do this after school weekends, and of course we have summer coming up, and if we can even team up with HOAs or someone in the community, if the schools, or we don't have the manpower to go out and give keys to everyone, then maybe the president of the HOA can delegate someone to help and coordinate opening the schools before and after school. So I think it's really important. I do believe we have an RLS for request for legal services in this area. So I'm going to continue to work on that, and I would like to see this move forward.
I think it may take legislation personally in Tallahassee. Okay, so moving on. I did go out to Wisteria. If you remember, we had the hearing about the road, and we told the engineers with KB Homes that we wanted that road to go north. And apparently, some stakes were put out that got some people very upset. So we had a big meeting out there with their engineers and our folks, and Ray Gadd and the other engineer from Tampa Civil, I don't remember his name, that lives on that road. And we think we came up with a really good solution that everyone was happy with. So the engineers from KB, I think it's FDC, not 100% sure, are redoing the road design. And so as soon as that is done, I'd like to see it and to share it with the residents on Wisteria Loop, please. Another thing that I think we should still work on are being able to cross state roads and golf carts. I don't understand why if you can cross it on pedestrian, it's unsafe to cross it in a golf cart. It makes no sense to me. You get across faster. So just all of us, we need to keep hammering that. And that's all I'm going to say for today. And I'm going to turn it over to Dan Boss.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board. I'll try to be brief. As you are aware, Mandy and I over the last several years have made several mission trips, short-term trips overseas to, and we've been feeling as part of that a call towards a new endeavor in an area of impact. So over that period of time, we've been working to prepare for and are now ready to announce that later this year we will be relocating overseas as part of a team that will be providing leadership training and development in local churches, as well as working with the local nationals and establishing new churches. Therefore, while it saddens me to leave this outstanding team we've developed, I am hereby announcing my resignation as county administrator effective 30th of September. There's more details in the letter Joanna's passing out. I will say the words cannot express the appreciation I have both for the board and for our team and the support you've given me over the last 5 years. All the work we've done, everything we've accomplished would not have been possible without that support. And so, like I said, I want to be brief and thank you. And what I would ask, Board, is that you would accept my letter of resignation
No.
and direct me to have HR begin the process to hire a search firm to conduct a national search for a replacement.
Well, we're sorry to see you go, but I understand when these callings come, you need to answer them. I do have is it with ICMI or IC?
I would prefer that the organization we're working with to not be named, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
No, okay. Just, I've been a fan and follower of that organization through Dr. Gills. Well, Dan, we are sorry that we're going to lose you, and you've been, gosh, you've taken us, from, new heights, I would say, in a challenging time, and I think we had the right person for the right time. Going forward, since it is kind of a short resignation time, and I think you say that you have some PTO time, so July 31st is your last date. I was just wondering, and I don't even know if this is legal, but I was happy with the search company we had last time, and just for the sake of time and speed, instead of going through all that RF whatever, that we just use that same company we used before.
I think it,
Can we do that?
procurement process, I don't know.
We can try and see if somebody has them under contract that we can
Piggyback.
piggyback. Otherwise, you'd have to go through a competitive process.
Yeah, and you know how long that takes, and we wouldn't even have anybody for months and months and months. So that would be a suggestion. I wanted to run it by my fellow board members. So that's the company we used to hire Dan, and I thought they did a good job.
Dan probably thinks they did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people say they don't really search, they just kind of broadcast the opening, and then people kind of flock in, and I kind of agree with that. So no matter who we use, I think the process is going to be somewhat similar. So I'm just going for speed here.
Well, Madam Chair, so.
Well, your HR
Again-
director says it's exempt, but I haven't looked at the purchasing ordinance.
And obviously, we'll all want to say some words before you go, and you obviously
The
had
procurement,
conversations with
yeah.
every commissioner before today, so we were aware. We will be missed, so I'll save it. I'll save it before you go. But we do, at some point here, have to name an interim as well. So, I mean, we have some time, but at the same time, we probably, I don't think we should wait until July to name, so Dan can work with that person, at least for that 30-day to get him, again, they've been here, but at the same time, he probably needs to know at least about 30 days ahead of time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think if you named one at the board meeting in Newport Richey next month, that would give us some overlap time.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll look to name an interim
Yeah.
at our next Newport Richey board meeting. And you're going to double check that we can go ahead and just piggyback on that one? And we can talk
Does
about
save
that at our
time, yeah.
Dade City
Saves time.
meeting? Yeah, saves time. I think again, it's just a posting of a job opening, and we've done such a good job here, they're going to flood in.
Now, let me ask a
Dan's
question.
going to miss the new youth sports complex, though.
What did you say?
He's going to miss opening
Oh.
up a youth sports complex.
Oh,
Yeah,
got you.
Moffett.
Yes,
And Moffett.
Moffett.
Yeah, sorry, that one too.
I don't want to get into the weeds too much right now, because I know you want to go, and we all want to get out of
Yeah.
here. But between now and then, I mean, this is something I think every board member should think about to themselves too. You don't always have to do a national search as well. Maybe we want to talk about people that are here before we go through that process. So I'm just putting it out
We
there.
can talk about that at the next meeting.
So do we have to go out nationally, or can we hire from within?
I don't
We
think
have
I've
to go
ever
out
seen where
nationally and then-
anyone hired
We legally have to
without it.
post the job.
Right.
We have to legally post the job. You don't have to
Legally
go out
post
to a
the
national
job,
search.
You can, whether you use an HR, you could actually use HR to do it, or
Right.
use a national search firm. I've seen cities and counties do a wide variety. So I think ultimately it's a board decision and board direction, and we will follow how you direct us.
And I say that because we have to be very conscious of some of the things that have been worked on recently. We have Moffett, for example, and, some of our internal staff are going to definitely be more in tune of what's been going on and been a part of that process for a while. So those are things we're going to want to consider. That's my opinion.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, Dan, I think you've done a phenomenal job here. The process we had last time was, I think we did a great job with it. We made a great selection. One of the things I really liked that you were an engineer that had worked very closely with the Army Corps, because the tremendous success of getting Ridge Road done, which was such a critical piece for us, was phenomenal. Working with Moffett coming in was part of that process and has led to some great things for the future of Pasco. So I think as we go through, if we are going to consider both, which I think we need to consider both between hiring from within or going both at the interim, I think all the awards we won, we kind of want to stack those up so that people can see what we've done here and what's going on. I do think we get some good qualified candidates here as well that I think if they come out to say, look, I want to do it, they should reach out to each one of us individually and talk with us. And then we can kind of consider the process. Maybe the next meeting we can have more of a discussion and kind of take that approach. I will tell you, the one thing that troubles me of the timing of him leaving right now, to what Nikki just mentioned, is just in taking over the jail is such a big deal. Do we have the time and will we have the capacity with him gone, with all this stuff going on? Is this the right time to make this happen right now?
We don't have a choice.
We've got a choice.
You mean don't take the jail?
The jail, yes.
Oh.
Not Dan leaving the jail, I think is what the commissioner is.
Right, yeah, with Dan's going.
I mean, between the various
My head
teams
feels
working on
right.
it, there's a lot of teams working to try to make that happen.
Right.
We have always said all along, since it was the sheriff, that 1 October was a very aggressive date. That we would do our best, but it was still a very aggressive date. And as we got more fidelity in what needed to happen, that date may float. So we've always kind of said that with him. And so we're going to try to hit the date, but we've always said that's a very aggressive date, even the first time you mentioned it to us, so it was going to be tough.
Well, if we get flexibility, okay. But I'm just like, again, as Nikki says, all that we got to do, that we may have to move that date back a bit. So we just got to be ready for that as we go forward.
Madam Chair, there's a resolution that'll be coming to you at the next board meeting, and it says fiscal year 2023. It does not have October 1 in the resolution.
Oh.
But that's,
What happened?
no.
So the last day?
That's our resolution that the sheriff has not vetted that. The issue was that we had concerns about October 1st, so we didn't want to bind you to October 1st. But that's still going to have to be a negotiation between you and the sheriff.
Okay.
And whether we hire someone from the outside or within, is there funding to hire someone sooner so there isn't that extra gap? Because I feel it's very important. If someone's going to be a newest county administrators coming in, they shouldn't be coming in the day we take over the jail.
Well, his funding stays,
Yeah.
so that person,
We'll figure we'll figure that out. I mean, I understand the concern and I agree with it, but we'll figure that
I think
out.
it's poor timing.
There's never a good time.
No.
bad bills run out.
All right,
It's time to go.
sounds good.
Is that it? Do you have anything else?
I would like a motion and approval at least to accept the letter of resignation and at least have me start the HR process.
So moved.
Move to continue.
There you go. All right, so moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're adjourned.